gonna. Oh, there we go. It's not going to take its sweet time. It's actually going to do it. Right. Welcome to my post Queensland Raceway live stream. I got a bunch of notes. I've also got my dinner here in case I starve. I'm gonna do what I did last time for the post Townsville stream and sort of get cracking straight away. All right, the microphone's not the right spot. But first of all, obviously, I've had a haircut. I've shaved a little bit, and I'll just muck around with what's going on here until I'm happy. Probably not have the beard. Probably be clean shaven for a while. Be all baby face for a bit, or not. We'll see. Yeah. So I'm gonna go through my notes, and we'll see what we can come up with. So I said 14 drivers had never competed in the main game at QR, and I was thinking about it before the stream. It doesn't really make much of a difference because Kai Allen had never competed at Darwin, and then suddenly he was good. So it's not really an issue. It didn't really factor into anything. The teams will have some experience, but most of the time it's just roll out on track. You've been driving this car all year, roll out on track. It's just about track conditions. You know the layout of the track once you've done a couple of laps, and they would have done their track walk earlier in the weekend, so they would have seen everything. So it's not really anything. So, yeah. Then the Victorian teams had no Gen 3 data for QR. And they were talking about it, and having data for QR can help you, and it can also undermine you. So if you've got the data and be like, oh, this is the lap times we were doing, that can hurt you. And that's what Scapy and Garth were saying, is that it can be good, it can be bad, having something to go into the weekend with. So, yeah. The other thing was Zach Bates obviously had double duties at Ipswich, Super 2 and Gen 3. And I think I paid a bit more attention today because yesterday I was sort of playing catch up. I didn't watch anything live, but today I did watch everything live. So Zach Bates screwed up in his qualifying in Super 2. Then he jumps into the main game and he sticks it in 5th on used tyres in the shootout. So that was an amazing job. And then he got bullied in the race, which is just what happens to the wild cards, especially the 888 wild cards or anyone driving a 888 car. You are going to get treated like, you have to drive the way we drive. But they're racing for sheep stations in the mid-pack, so that's what happens. So, practice 1. An oil bottle stopped the session. It was in Jackson Evans' car, and it dropped out the bottom of the car. So I have no idea what happened there, but that's a weird one. That's such a weird way to stop the session. And they red flagged it as well, which was another thing I thought was weird. Can't you just do like double wave yellows or get everyone to engage pit limiter? Have someone run out, grab the oil bottle, and then go back in. You have to red flag it. So yeah. And it was a Penrite power steering fluid. So immediately they were like, oh, it must be Groves because that's the only team that have Penrite. But yes, BJR are using it as well on Jackson Evans' car. I thought it was interesting because it's power steering fluid. And I thought, okay, so, in your road car, you don't really muck around with brake fluid, power steering fluid. You just sort of check the oil and check the water, and that's all you need to worry about. But in these race cars, they do run through things like that. And this actually reminds me, at Townsville, Chaz Mostert had, they were bleeding the brakes. So I don't know if there was issues, if bleeding the brakes means there was an issue or something like that. But they've been mucking around with the brakes a bit on Chaz Mostert's car. So they went into, I think it was the first race. Chaz's car actually had a whole line failure. So he was garaged straight away with, was it the first lap or first three to five laps? He was in there, and they were mucking around with the brake fluid system. So that was interesting. Yeah, it just made me think like some of these issues that the teams have can carry on into following rounds. So it's interesting to look at that sort of stuff. They didn't really have an issue for the rest of Townsville, but then it sort of come up again for Queensland. So it makes me think whether are they doing something with their brakes that's just not right? So yeah. There's a lockup for Will Davison in practice one. What we got? Murray, Allen, Percat struggling at turn 3, and then Wood and Heimgartner as well. So everyone was pretty much struggling into turn 3. They don't know, like, it's the first laps out in practice 1. You find out soon enough that you don't have a car to do the job in that corner, and then you go back in, make some adjustments, come back out, have another go. Shoulder cam for Jaime. He was struggling at 6. And Fullwood had understeer at 3. And I got a note later on about tires, but while I'm reminded of it, having understeer can be attributed to a fresh set of tires, like green tires. You go out on a set of greens, and you're not gripped up. You haven't got the tires warmed up enough to go through the corner right. And they were saying the soft tire is more of an oversteer tire. So if you go out on a set of greens of those, it can sort of mess up things. So yeah, there was a big moment for Reynolds at the exit of 3, and under and then oversteer, they said. That was, I think, yeah, it was just a weird little moment he had. Then we got changing shocks on Kai Allen's car. That was the first time I saw them doing stuff like that. But I think the teams do change shocks quite a lot, which is interesting. So they've got different setups for different things. I thought so they must have different like set ideas of like, we'll have this kind of shock, we'll have that kind of shock, and then we'll do that. Then they were changing the front anti-roll bar links on Brown and Feeney's cars. So that gave me an idea of the kinds of things that they change on the Gen 3 cars. Just changing the links on the anti-roll bars. That stuff I thought was interesting. Because you think all the cars are the same, but then they can change the links on the cars, and they can change the shocks on the cars. So not everybody's got the same thing. They're all trying different things. Then you see Waters catching a slide at 1. And Ryan Wood and Jaime bump into one another in practice. That was interesting. And then Brody said he was struggling with balance in 3 and 6, which 3 and 6 are the two key corners at Queensland. You see people struggling in 3 or struggling into 6. They're the main ones that the people are struggling at. They'll get 1 and 2 pretty close, but then 3 they'll bowl a wide, or something will happen. They'll lose the rear. It was interesting. Wildcards and rookies have an extra set of tyres, so that could have been helpful for Zach Bates when he got into the shootout today. And they said that Ryan Wood would have gotten an advantage out of that. I think Brock Feeney said if you finish in the top 10 of the championship, then that rule doesn't apply the following year. So in 2023, Brock Feeney didn't benefit from an extra set of tyres going into race weekends. And that was what he said in the Apex Hunters podcast that he was on. And that was really good. I really enjoyed listening to that one. I do get sort of sick of listening to Scott Pye with his ideas sometimes, but he does say some very interesting things, and I think it was like most of the time he said something really interesting, so I was fine with that. Zach Bates had a moment at 3, and Garth Tander suggests Jeremy Moore sent some setup ideas to Anton and Team 18. It was funny. Later on, Mark Scaife and Garth Tander were basically saying, like, Scaife was saying, "Oh, it's because of the technical alliance for Triple Eight," and GT was saying, "Oh, it's Jeremy Moore. He's coming in with all this setup information because he's no longer employed by Triple Eight. So now he's with GM. He's helping everyone out." And Scotty said, "Is it driver or setup?" Which I thought was interesting. And and Scotty himself has actually said, I think in 2017, he said when he was driving for Walkinshaw, they were called Walkinshaw Racing in 2017, that the car was fast. He said that at Adelaide, I think. He said the car's fast. He just needs to drive it better. He just needs to adapt his driving. And so that was interesting. So, yeah, like sometimes the driver's just not quite driving it right. They need to adapt to the car. But also maybe the setup's just not riding the curbs right, or it's not cornering right, and you need to get that right. So that was for practice 1. Practice 2, shocks changed for Murray. And like I said, everyone was changing shocks all weekend. And then an interesting little update. Sumitomo are now distributing Dunlop tyres in Australia. I'm not really sure. I didn't really catch exactly what the situation was, but I think that they buy Dunlop or the rights to Dunlop, because I thought Goodyear owned Dunlop. So maybe something's changed there, and it didn't. You think something like that would have come up on Speed Cafe, because it's kind of important because that's a control tyre for supercars. So yeah, Sumitomo taking over distribution for the Dunlop tyres in Australia. Aaron Cameron had a potential starter motor issue. Didn't really hear the end of that. It didn't seem to affect his weekend too much because he just replaced the starter motor, I guess, or fixed the issue. But I suppose if you fix the issue, there's always the potential for that issue to come back up. Anton had a twitchy lap. It looked like it to me. I don't think some of these notes that I've got are what I thought was going on and what the commentators were saying was going on. So it's just a bit of both. Zach Bates, but it looks like Bryce. Yeah, it was a little glitch on the audio on the show, on the broadcast, where it was like Zach Bates, but they've used Bryce Forward's picture. I'm like, how do you get that wrong? Just make a card and click on that card and bring it up. What are they doing? Like, sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. Like, they have to put the pieces of the puzzle together and then show it. I think some things like that, like little information boxes, can just be preset, and you just click them. This is Zach Bates. Yep, he drives this car. He looks like this. Yep, no worries. Understeer for Golding at 6. So, but that could have been fresh tires. Like I said, they could have been greens, but I don't think people were really running greens in practice unless they had an extra set that they're like, yeah, we'll just run it. Who cares? Bates bumps the inside curb at 1, which is what battles oversteer, and then goes wonky at 2. I don't know if because sometimes you bump the inside curb at QR, and that sends you off at turn 1. But sometimes you do want to like ride the curb at turn 1, and then you get like a really good way through that corner. But yeah, he went wonky in practice too. Macca Jones ran deep at 6, but I think when I write ran deep, I think it's just a camera angle or the way they took the corner. It was really interesting. You see, because sometimes I think they ran deep, and then I look at it and they go, well, they still made the corner fine, but it's really hard to tell with the camera angle. The best angle, which they just did not show enough as far as I was concerned, was that top-down one at 6. I wanted to see that more. At some of that stuff. Like, they should have shown it in practice or something. Just run it in practice for a few minutes when there's like a big gaggle of cars. Show everyone's cornering through that. But it's been and gone now, so they Got to do that next year, hopefully. If QR is even in next year, which hopefully it is because it's a good track. Cooper Murray grabbed some dirt on the Exeter 6. I think it was in like the happy hour bit at the end of practice. All right. Then we've got qualifying for race 1. So I didn't realise that they had Frosty at QR as well. I thought that he wasn't going to be there because Scott Pye was going to be there. So yeah, I think is Jack Perkins in sometimes? Guess because Jack Perkins wasn't in there, so they put Frosty on the mic as a pit lane reporter, and then sometimes they mixed and matched him. I thought it was cool that they mixed and matched him because then you go, oh, it's Scafie and Scotty, or if it's GT and Scotty, or if it's Frosty and Scotty. That stuff was good. So yeah, Scotty said a lot of cars did a good enough lap first time, and the second one was better, and Groves was struggling. Yeah. So yeah, we saw that. Kai seemed to get a bit better out of it with just bigger results, but Matt Payne was sort of struggling all weekend as well. They weren't having a great time, Groves. So in qualifying, Matt Payne had an oversteer moment, which was a bit interesting. So I think that was, what did we say about oversteer? I think it was the soft tyre that was making it oversteer. So he'd warmed him up enough, and then the rear wanted to kick out, probably at 6. Cameron Crick ran deep at 3, and it was a little twitchy at 6. Which meant like he went in, and I think he almost lost the rear, so he had to jank it to the left, hang on to it. Cam Waters ran into a Penrite car. We didn't know which one it was. I think that was was it in the gaggle of them? There was like a whole bunch of them just all bunched up in that little run. Percat ran deep at 6. Murray in the dirt at 6 again. A top down shot at 6. I thought so. That was the first time the top down shot at 6 actually showed up. And I thought maybe an issue for Golding, which there was, that he didn't get a run, which is just the fact that all of those teams tried to do it at the last minute and would have all those checkups like they did in the second qualifying session for the next race. It was just like, come on, guys, just do like a green run at the start and then another one later to hang on. They're like, oh, it's going to be so much more gripped up. But if you don't get a lap, yeah, it's just like you got to do it. You got to be a better way to do it, because at the Adelaide 500 last year for the Saturday, they had who was it? Stanaway crashed, and then they cancelled qualifying. So a bunch of people who didn't get laps in were right down the back, like Chaz Mostert. And then you had like all of BJR? I think it was like 3 of BJR's cars got in. Tickford locked out the front row because they did laps. If you don't do a lap, you miss out. So everyone running around on used tyres is a waste of time. LeBrock had to abort a push lap because of the gaggle at 3. So we heard about that after qualifying. Waters was struggling for, what have I written? Struggling for different balance at different parts of the track. Yeah, he just had like no pace anywhere. And then the funny thing he said was like, yeah, we're sort of struggling from like when we leave the pits and then we're on the track until we get back in the pits. That's when we're really struggling. I thought that was funny. And like I sort of said the same sort of thing that Scott Pye was saying, but sort of elaborated on it, but he was pretty critical about the mistake of running used tyres early on. Because like, what do you need? They do that to warm up the tyres for heat soak, which I think is what Garth was saying. He said later, I think it was in the second session, he talked about heat soak. And that's why you do it. But like I said, what's the point of doing that? But maybe he just didn't think about that, but I don't know. But like I said, 2 to 3 hot laps ideal, but lots of people were not doing it. They were just like, oh, we're going to go out for one and go bang and nail it. It's like, well, what if you, like, the first lap sort of gets the tyres warmed up and in the right window, and then the next lap is better. So, yeah. Golding got caught up in traffic and didn't get a lap in. All right. Davo didn't get a lap done either, which is just shocking because, like, come on. He started 24th as well. I think Golding started like last, 26th. So he really didn't get a lap in. All right, and then we have Q2 because it's format 1 or whatever they call it, where Q1 and Q2, and that's what they had. Where I think Q2 is the top 10. So yeah, Garth talked about the heat soak strategy in Q2, and there was a slide for Cameron at turn 1. Feeney said he made a few little mistakes on his pole lap. And Frosty and GT actually talked about this. He did a great lap. He didn't actually make any mistakes. The car was just a bit imbalanced in some areas, but I guess Brock thought he could do something about that, which shows his commitment. Like, that's why he's doing such a good job, is because he cares about those little things, which I think probably a lot of drivers do care about, but it's maybe more glaringly obvious for the top drivers. Aaron Cameron didn't improve on his final lap, and neither did Cameron Hill, which I thought was interesting. Like, what happened? And yeah, that's Aaron Cameron said he didn't get a second lap in. Cooper Murray said he missed the apex at 3 on his lap. Which, some drivers didn't hit the apex, some drivers did. Maybe it's probably more important to hit the apexes in qualifying than in the race, because in the race you don't really lose any position, unless you do a really bad job and just like screw it up big time, don't get a good run out of the corner, and the guy behind you does get a decent enough one. All right. Then we have quali for race 2. The super soft tire said nobody knows how to set the cars up for this track and tire if they didn't run it in practice. So that made me think, surely somebody ran it in practice. Like, that's what practice is for. Just test everything, find out what's right. But surely you don't spend both sessions just on the soft tire and just focusing on setup. Surely everybody goes out and they do a run on the super softs, and that's where the top times come from, surely. But yeah, we just don't know. But I think, and some teams like really struggle on the super soft tire. Like, we saw Tickford really struggled on it, but Premier, I think it was Richie, said that they're really starting to work it out. They're really starting to get their heads around the super soft tire. Whereas Tickford sort of seemed to have the opposite problem, where they have no idea what's going on with the super soft tire. It's like, how do you not have ideas on what happens? Garth Tander knows what goes on with it. How come no one else does? Garth was talking about, I think it was the soft tire that he talked about. And he was talking about it with Frosty. You're talking about the soft tire is like an oversteer tire. Drink more water. I talked about it before, where soft tire is like an oversteer tire. So if you put the super softs on, it's got more grip, so it's more of a, well, I mean, maybe that's more of an oversteer tire. All right, I'm gonna keep going through my notes, and we'll find the bit where he says it. Stanaway had a lock-up in his warm-up, but I think he might have been on used tires in that one, so because it was first runs. Brown got in Feeney's way by accident into 3. That was interesting. The second half of pit lane were out early to avoid the gaggle. AAA were in the pack in the second run because the second half of pit lane were out early. Davo said the balance isn't quite there on his car on super softs. You often find these experienced guys really struggling, and That's pretty frustrating to hear because, like Dave Reynolds was saying, that he sort of had it worked out on the super softs. So yeah. Um, and then the rain started. The rain was coming heading into Q2 for race 2. Waters and Randall flew off at 1. It was wet on the main straight, and then it was wet everywhere. Mostert was off at 6, and no one had a set of wets ready. Like, what the hell, guys? Surely you're like, oh, the rain could be coming. Get a set ready. What? I don't understand how they could screw that up. I mean, you got, like, once the car's out on the road, you don't need the mechanics all in there. Do some preparation or something. I don't know how stuff like that happens, but yeah. If everyone's just looking at the screens going, let's hope he does a good lap, it's not going to help. Then Mostert was off at 4, Brown span, Randall was off at 4, Mostert was off at 6, Randall was off at 6. Half dry lap is going. Okay, this is something that I said because Frosty was like, "Oh, I thought he would have gone faster on the wets," and I'm like, "Why would you think that? It's still wet. It just means you're not falling off the track." So I wrote a half dry lap is going to be faster than a fully wet lap. So like you just sort of hang on to it and try not to crash it on the slippery bits, and go ham on the dry bits, which is what Brock Feeney did, and that's why he got pole. Because it was a bit slippery, because he saw Randall and Waters go off at 1. He went, all right, I'm going to take it a bit easy through 1. And then he gets through, and then he smashes it in the second sector, gets back on the wet bit, takes it a little bit easy, gets pole. It was a second slower than the time that he did for the first race. And then like I was talking to Ryan Wood, said that he has an average qualifying of 7th on the soft tyre, and then an average qualifying of 3rd on the super softs. And Woody said he had a really good balance on hot, dry tyres in the wet, and that's why he qualified so well. And he didn't want to do a wet lap because it's slower. See, maybe Frosty just wasn't thinking like, why do you say stuff like that? It's just all right, I think Frosty had some good points at some stage, but yeah, he didn't say the right thing for that one. But Woody said he didn't want to do a wet lap because it's slower, but it's good to get the shine off of them. Because I think when they got the shine on them, it's a bit more slippery. But I'm not sure if you really want to get that shine off. Yeah. All right, and then we have the actual first race. So no brakes for Mostert. Then Kostecki went wide at 2. Reynolds went off somewhere. Waters went wide. Ryan Wood and Kai Allen had a battle. It was a lock-up for Waters. Kostecki bumped Aaron Cameron wide, letting Cameron Hill get close. And Anton and Cooper Murray had a bit of a battle. Kostecki bumped Waters wide, and Reynolds and Randall had an incident. Heimgartner went into the pits at lap 4 with a puncture. I don't know if I've got any notes on anything that happened with him, so we just didn't see it. Then Golding went on lap 8. He was the first to pit, and so some people tried undercut, pit early, go. I think, was it Bryce did it? What race was it? Maybe it was the second race that Bryce did it. But yeah, early stop didn't really help people because by the end of that stint, you were really hurting, and people would just push past and get past. I actually watched a clip of Connor Zilic in NASCAR Xfinity putting SVG in the fence at Watkins Glen. I was just watching a clip of it, trying to find something to watch on YouTube, and I was looking at it like he could have done it like a Supercars driver and just sort of side bump him and push through, but he didn't. He came back on and just smashed him, and just Connor Zilic is not a good driver. Like, how do you screw up like that? Like, just driving like an idiot. And like, I think people are talking about him about whether he was going to get into the Cup Series or not. And I thought, driving like that, nah. But I don't know. I don't actually watch NASCAR. I just saw that one bit and I thought, poor SVG, he just got fenced by this absolute fucking clown. All right, and then Anton made a mistake at 2, letting Brody past. And then Davo put LeBrock off at 3 and got 15 seconds for it. And then I thought, it says Alan using too much fuel. Don't know why I put that. Probably not sure. Oh, because it's not a refuel race. So like, is he? Because he started 8th, and he just by the end of the second lap, he just made it to P2. So yeah, he did a really good job. Forward ran wide at 6. Let Reynolds through. Jones running slow, stuck in first gear. Stanaway clipped an MSR wheel going out of the working lane in the pits. He didn't get a penalty for that. I was happy about that. I thought, that's was it MSR's fault or was it? I think it's just let it go. But there are still, the penalties would have been applied. So there was a bit of biffo between Golding and Aaron Cameron as Aaron Cameron passed Golding. So yeah. Randall had an above shoulder cam because the camera they had on Heimgartner's looked more at the wheel, so we saw more what was going on with the wheel of the steering wheel, but we didn't really see what was going on outside the window, outside the front window. So with the camera angle that Randall had, it was more of an above shoulder one, so you could sort of see. You still see the steering wheel, but you could also see a bit more of what was going on out the front. And then Golding's old tyres started to cause him to drop some spots. And Heimgartner also started to drop as well. But I think, was Golding further up? Golding might have been further up, I'm not sure. So I said maybe early stop wasn't such a good idea. Macca Jones' car was moved to 4th gear after garage to finish the race. LeBrock came in on lap 29, so it was pretty late. There's 39 laps. He came in lap 29. Kai Allen and Ryan Wood take 6 differently, so I think that was important to look at the different ways they take the corner. Turn 6 was really interesting. It was pretty much the key corner. 3 and 6 all weekend, just looking at what happened there, but particularly 6. Reynolds went off, and then Mostert went off. There was a safety car. That was after the rain. Now, it was because of the rain in Q2 for the second race that it's brought the oil up, and so that's really upset cars coming through 6. So if we go back and look at all the people who went off at 6, so it was a lot easier to lock up. Not really anything. Nothing there, but yeah, just what was it? Yeah, just Allen and Woodward went fine through 6. A lot of people went fine through 6, but then Reynolds and Mostert went off, and there was a safety car, and then Davison pitted. Davison had what was a 15-second penalty for LeBrock, and I don't think they tried to take the penalty. I think they just went in, did the stop, and knew they couldn't take a penalty under the safety car. Then Courtney was bumping his way past Golding, and they said the oil was there all along. But I think like on the streets, when it rains, you don't drive the same. You drive a bit more carefully on the wet road because it brings those oils up. And then Forward and Heimgartner had an incident where I think Forward just banged into Jaime. Then there was 15 seconds for Fullwood because was it Jaime was checked up trying to crisscross, was it Evans or something, and then Fullwood just banged into him and knocked and taken him out. And got 15 seconds for it. Oh, and then the race ends under safety car. Ooh, controversial. So, so Scott Pye brought up, we're going to introduce overtime. And I think I saw it in Speed Cafe comment section. People saying, oh, so boring that it finishes under safety car. And we could introduce overtime so that we get a fast and furious race to the end. But do you not like racing? You just like watching car crashes? Is that what you like? Like, this is what real racing looks like. We're trying to neutralize the situation and then we'll get back underway. Calm your tits. And we've got a schedule to follow. And, we could do it like NASCAR, but sometimes NASCAR goes until 2 o'clock in the morning. That happens. And NASCAR is a dying category anyway. And like, I don't think Supercars needs overtime. I think it's fine to finish under safety car. So, that's my take on overtime. I just think it's stupid. Then there was a blue thing in Brock's car. I have no idea what it was. It was just like just past the screen, just a blue thing. I've got no idea what it was. And Davo's penalty was applied post race. And they put an auction up for Ryan Wood's 2025 car. And that made me think, wasn't there an auction where WAU or Tickford or someone, I think it might be WAU. No, I think it was Tickford, did an auction for something and they didn't get enough bids in, so they didn't do the auction because the bids weren't high enough. And I thought, okay, that's weird that like they're going to try again. So I'm going to Google that real quick. I think it was Tickford Supercars auction. No. Where is it? Two Supercars. Hang on, what is it? 2021. So 2021 Supercars going under auction. One of them, the 2021 and 2022 Cam Waters car. And what else? What's the other car? Oh, and the Frosty car, the 2015 Frosty car. Leading bid is 245. The full auction, yeah. So I think something happened where they didn't get the auction. Not really saying anything about it. No. All right. Got nowhere with that one. Okay. Where are we looking? Okay, so Waters went off at 6 on the oil at some stage as well. A lot of people, their races just got screwed over because of the oil at 6. Stanaway loving the wet in the wet quali. I think that was Scott Pye saying that. And I think he was saying that Richie was going 2 seconds faster than everyone else in the wet. Then Brown said, I think, when was it? I think it was leading up to the second race. It was like formation lap. He was like, Is that what he said? No, maybe it was in the in lap, or I don't know when it was, but I thought he was in the car. Said he's waiting for Scott Pye to ask a hard-hitting question. It was on the formation lap. Yeah. I think Scotty did. He said something like, "Hey, it's your co-driver that carried you to your championship. Um, what are you gonna do to fix your crappy run?" Something like that. Then Richie said was saying that teams getting a better idea of why they're good on the super soft, which is good to hear. You want to hear positive direction. Then in race 2, Woody runs Stanaway wide. So I think it was Woody and Kai Allen were brought in to talk to Larko. And Larko was like, "Oh, you guys did such a great job. You know, Woody didn't he ran Allen to the edge of the track, but didn't run him off the track. But then he didn't do it for Richie off the line because he had a crappy start, and then Richie had a decent start, and Richie almost got him, and so he's blocked him, and he's blocked it into one. But I think you don't get a penalty for things that happen at turn 1 unless it's like a big biffo moment. And then there was the absolute carnage of race 2, and I think Speed Cafe did an article that actually talked about this is who got caught up in that carnage. A lot of people, like half the field, got caught up in it. So I said Cameron was beached at turn 1. Evans was wrecked again. He just has the worst luck. Cooper Murray and Aaron Cameron caused Aaron Cameron's beaching, so Murray put Cameron into the dirt, in the sand. Murray bangs into Randall off the launch because he was in between Randall and Allen, and I think he saw Allen, and then he banged into Randall. So LeBrock was garage, Kostecki was garage, I think Evans was out as well. Aaron Cameron they kept him going just to finish the race. Heimgartner had some rear damage from the turn 1 mess, and Feeney ended up getting 5 seconds for his false start. And like I showed it, Feeney started just a microsecond too early. It was just like just started to creep, and then boom, got ping free. Not allowed to be creeping on the start. Cam Waters and Richie Stanaway were having a bit of a battle, but not much of a battle because Waters really couldn't get a move done. Waters was complaining, saying he's being held up, but then he was slower on the exit, so it was interesting. Like you saw, he'd close in under brakes, and then Richie would pull away on the exit. And Sam Potter, Cam Waters' engineer, said, "Be patient." BJR repaired Evans to score some pit stop points because he wasn't going to be able to score points because he wasn't going to get 75%. They were hoping to get some pit stop points. And Chad said, but maybe if there's a safety car, you can't get pit stop points. So, yeah, that was interesting. Bates got run off by Golding. Waters pits 18 to go on the loaded side. Stanaway pits 17 to go, 4 tyres. And Waters was maybe being held up by Anton. Then Reynolds and Mostert had a bit of a battle. Reynolds went wide at 3. There were 3 tyres for Will Brown, but maybe a little bit slow. And then they confirmed that the left rear was slow. Mostert versus Ritchie. Feeney versus Brown. Wood versus Anton. There's a bit of some good battles going on. And JC passed Macca Jones in the pits. BRT they're doing surprisingly well in the pits. And I think it's because of what's his face from Erebus. He was at Team 18 for a while, and then he went to BRT, I guess. I can't remember what his name is. Then Forward versus Waters. Bryce was on struggling tyres, grabbed some dirt on the exit as Cam passes. Matt Payne versus Bryce Forward. So Bryce was just dropping down because he pitted early. He was just dropping. We've got Clean Air maybe helping Will Brown because Brown jumped Feeney when Feeney had to do his 5 seconds in the pits. So, yeah, I was thinking maybe the Clean Air really helps a lot. Considering as Will Brown was behind Feeney the whole race and then Feeney has to do 5 seconds. So, then Golding has a lock up, letting Davo past. I think Davo actually finished 10th in the race. Forward had a lock up and let Reynolds past. My handwriting is terrible. Ryan Wood said, I don't know. I said, I don't know what I'm doing with starts because it was bad. Because they're like, what's going on with their starts? He's like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. That was funny. Brown didn't stop correctly in his pit box, and that's why the wheel went wrong. Yeah, so Brown had a slow pit stop, and so that's why he was only just ahead of Feeney. Wasn't even just ahead, it was like a good margin ahead. But those 5 seconds would probably really hurt. Because it would have been 5 and a bit seconds for the pit stop if you do a really good one. And then plus the 5 seconds was like a 10-second pit stop, so it's pretty much extra. Yeah, plenty of time for Brown. Turn 6, still bad for lockups due to the oil spill. Well, Brown said his second lap was 1 or 2 tenths slower at 1 and 2. So this is like the post-race interview. His second lap was 1 or 2 tenths slower at 1 and 2 in quali, which sort of says, I think that's where the tyre just isn't quite as good anymore. So your first lap is mainly, yeah, it's interesting one. Bryce said he hit Andre accidentally when Andre checked up to crisscross one of the wild cards. Like I think it was Crick, because it probably wouldn't be Bates, because Bates was further up the road. But apparently Andre had another issue anyway. And I think that's race 1, when Andre did have a puncture, and so he pitted on lap 4. But yeah, not sure what's going on there because I don't think he got punted that early. Then come Sunday, qualifying for race 3. Waters had a mess up at 6. Waters and Randall, the super soft heroes. That's basically what I said because they're just good on the super softs. They're not good on the softs. Kai Allen did some changes for the second race. And they didn't work. And he didn't get a clean run in that in qualifying for the second one, I think. So here we go. Understeer on cold used tyres, but they're good once they're warm. Waters and Brown. So yeah, we saw them understeering at 6 on cold used tyres. And I thought it was interesting because the soft is an oversteer tyre apparently. I think that's what GT was saying. So yeah, soft is an oversteer tyre, but if they're understeering, they're on cold tyre. So I didn't really catch what Brody said. I guess it must have been after qualifying. He said, I think he said fresher tires, like greens, were catching Brody out. Just not quite getting the greens turned on. I think he had struggled with it at Townsville as well. I wasn't sure if they said fresher tires or pressured tires, and I thought, no, it's got to be fresher tires. It's the only way it makes sense. Brody said they. What the hell is my handwriting? They were pretty terrible as quotation marks, not 2 L's. Okay. they were pretty terrible at the start of the session. That's what he said. But he still got into the top 10 shootout. So Brody had a pretty solid weekend, really. Scored decent points, not great points, but he was close to a podium a couple times, but not close enough. Other people were better. And GT was talking about how Cam Waters, his rear was loose and it was catching him out at 6, but the car was just unstable everywhere. Still managed to hang on for a podium though in the race. And they kept asking Anton, "Why are you having such a great time?" And he said, "Oh, we're just trying to make sure we do all these little things right." And so that's sort of what he was. That's why they were doing well, he said. And they interviewed him after the Sunday race as well, after today's race, and he was pretty much said the same thing again. They're just experimenting with lots of different things, and they're trying lots of different stuff, and they're trying to make sure they do absolutely everything right. So that's what Anton said. They're just doing a really good job. Mark Scaife said, "Oh, it's the technical alliance." And then Garth said, "Oh, no, it's Jeremy Moore emailing him setup help." Because he said that Anton has a similar driving style to Will Brown and Brock Feeney, but Brock says he's got a different driving style to Will Brown. So they've got two different setups managing, and it's two different driving styles. Brock Feeney's more suited to 2025 tyres, and Will Brown is more suited to the way things worked in 2024. But Anton has a very different driving style to David Reynolds. So I guess we've got three different driving styles there, because you can't be similar to both Will Brown and Brock Feeney and different to David Reynolds. But yeah, I don't know, maybe he's doing something different. Maybe is it Driver 61 does videos about driving style? That stuff's interesting. So maybe I could just look at what do you call it? Look at in-car camera stuff and look at their laps and where they go and what they do. Because I think they used to say that Craig Lowndes would hug the corner, and I think Lowndes did a lap in the safety car, and he was like, "Yeah, this is the way I do it, or this is the way some people do it." Yeah. And Garth said going out last on your quality lap can be a benefit. The going out last in the shootout can be a benefit because you know more about what you need to do. So you go, "Oh, Frosty did a good lap. He did this lap time, so I need to really pull my finger out and do a really good job, and then I can beat him." So going out last can be helpful. But that just means you're already fast, so you've got a bit of confidence in your car. And Frosty said something interesting about because I talked about Zach Bates, and because they talked about him all weekend, because obviously it's his debut. That there's a slight delay in throttle response in the Gen 3 car compared to the Super 2 or Gen 2 car. So that was interesting. Like I said, the first laps haven't been as good in qualifying, then haven't been as good as second laps. But now they have no choice. So in the shootout, they have no choice. You got one lap, you get it right or you get it wrong. The tyre phasing is key, and it was really interesting for the way they warmed up the tyres. Some of the guys just, Shootout for race 3. KO. Oh, for God's sake, KO. Maybe it's a me thing, because I cast from my phone with KO, so sometimes it just trips up because my phone just doesn't want to cast anymore. But KO started transitioning from the qualifying stream to the shootout stream in the middle of Reynolds' lap, and I was so pissed off. I was like, "What morons are in charge of this thing? How do you think, yeah, this is a great idea, let's just do it like that?" No, don't do it like that. So yeah, I was not happy about that. So Cameron Hill was on used tyres, and I missed David Reynolds making a mistake at turn 3. It basically cut out as he headed into turn 3. So stupid. Cameron Hill was on used tyres, went slightly wide at turn 3 and the same at 6, but then maybe that's just the way he drove. So, because he did a pretty solid lap. Golding was fast, grabbed some dirt on the turn 6 exit, didn't seem to affect his lap too badly. Ryan Wood had ran greens, and I thought maybe he didn't warm them up right for the first sector, because he was green in he was green for a shootout just means that he didn't beat everyone in the first sector, but he did beat everyone that had run that to that point in the middle sector and in the last sector. So yeah. Then Mostert had greens. He ran white at 6. I think, and struggled to bring the tyre up to temperature. Quite a few drivers really struggled with that. Brody had used tyres. He did a pretty damn good job. The tyre was all over the place. The car was all over the place, but he seemed to put a pretty good lap down. Brownie had greens, little tail wag at 1. Tyres were not quite up to temperature yet. Had a purple sector 1, so that sort of tells you that he didn't quite get his lap quite perfect, but it was as good as it could be as far as he was concerned. Zach Bates doesn't use tyres, did a solid lap, beat Brody. I thought, wow, so yeah, the used tyre brigade, Cameron Hill, Brody, Zach Bates, and Bates came out on top, which I thought that was really impressive. I was really impressed because this year he has not been great in Super 2, and he's a reigning champion. And then he's coming into Gen 3 in the 888 wildcard, and he's doing a great job. Obviously a better Biffo, but he's not like he's doing his laps wrong. He's just done a great job like Cooper Murray. And a bit of Biffo missing out. So yeah. Anton, I thought, because I didn't see everybody's tyre warm up for the shootout, I thought it looked a bit aggressive. He had greens, and he just didn't seem to have much grip because he went in as like the provisional pole, and just didn't get it right. Or was he second fastest, whatever it was. Ryan Wood's reaction speed, but not his starts are the problem. Which is why it was sort of funny. Like Mark Scaife said on the broadcast to Neil Crompton, "Oh, it's not his starts. It's his reaction time. He doesn't start when everyone else does." And Neil said, "Yeah, I think you've said that already," or I think I heard that earlier today, or something like that. And I thought that was funny. And Scott Pye said the Chaz was too aggressive on his warm up. So that was it. So yeah, there's a bit of you either go too aggressive and you just really scrub the tires, or you do you warm them up, but they're not too warmed up, and then you can do your lap. And Mark Scaife said that Tickford should stop early to get out of traffic. But yeah, there's 2 ways to skin the cat when it comes to bad qualifying with a fast race car. You can stop early, but then you're going to face the consequences later in the race with rubbish tyres, and you can start dropping through the field. Or you can do what they did, which is run long. It'll be a tough time for the first 15 laps, 15, 20 laps. Once you get through those laps, then you're good. And that's what they did. They got lucky. And Scott Pye said he wants to see more dog from Randall, but I think I've already talked about that. Randall is just trying not to get fenced. And that's why he's in the top 10 of the championship. It's just because he hasn't been getting fenced. So there you go. Then we have the actual race. So Payne was out wide at 2. Somebody had a lock up. I didn't see who. I didn't hear who. And we didn't get a replay either, which is a bit surprising. LeBrock got bumped wide at 6 by Davo. God damn, Davo and LeBrock. What the hell? Yeah, so Davo got a penalty, a 15-second penalty for putting LeBrock off, and then he got another one for 5 seconds for bumping LeBrock wide. Yeah. And then Percat went wide. Courtney, Muzz, Payne, and then the rain started coming. And Courtney was the only one to come in for wets, and that was a huge mistake. It cost them a potential good result, because I think he was in like 14th or something. He could have got some decent points. So yeah, unfortunate. And it's always like a split second decision. Courtney probably said, yeah, it's bucketing down, we should pit. Or the engineer maybe said, oh, it's bucketing down, we should pit. But yeah. So I think they said, oh my god, I'm tired. Fuck. I'm not even tired, I'm just yawning. Ugh, fuck. So yeah, 5 seconds for Davo. A lockout for Zach Bates. Macca Jones was down 11 spots. I didn't really see what happened. I think he said JC put him off. So yeah, that must have happened before he pitted. Yeah, I didn't see what happened there. JC went off at 3. The track was drying out. More rain in 25 minutes. But it didn't come. The rain didn't actually hit the track. Anton had wheel spin on gear change on the QR sign on the road. That's what they said. But Anton and Will Brown both had massive wheel spin heading out of the exit of 6 because it was just wet all the way down the straight. And Brody found some grip, found some traction, and flew past him. He found the gap between Brown and Anton, and just slotted through that gap and went up there. That was a bit of a lucky result, that one. And I think that was that for the second or third. I think it was for third or something like that. Was it third? I don't know. But yeah, that's what happened. Cooper Murray dropped back a bit after being passed by Waters. He was like several spots down. Then JC came in for dries. Race basically already over anyway, the safety car happened, but I think he was still well down anyway. Waters dropped a bit. Had dropped a few spots. And I said, oh, maybe it was due to an incident with Payne, which I think Scapey pointed out as well, because it said, oh, there's an under investigation, Waters and Payne. And Waters was like battling hard with Kai Allen and Matt Payne as well. Chaz Monster lost grip and tagged Zach Bates at 6, but it didn't knock him off. He just tagged him. Then a slow right front for Anton and David Reynolds in the pits. So that was interesting. Both teammates having the same issue in the pits. Slow stop for Brody Kostecki. Brown versus Brody, which is good. Not like a constant battle, but like, what was it? Brown getting past Brody getting past Brown. Oh, yeah. And an issue for Zach Bates in the mids. He overran his markers. There was a slow left front. Then Cameron Crick was off at 6, beached himself. Safety car. Allen, Waters, and Jaime were yet to take the first stop. So they ended up going quite well, actually. But I think Jaime just wasn't that fast, and so he ended up getting passed by quite a few people. But Allen and Waters were fast enough. Allen obviously had pretty good pace on the softs from earlier in the weekend. And Waters, I don't know, he just had a decent enough car. It's a Tickford car. Tickford are not the worst cars. And a bunch of cars took second. Those 3, so we know what happened. Those 3 double stopped under the safety car, and they were top 3 because under the current rules, they call it full course yellow, I think. So they come in and everyone's under like safety car what do you call it, pit limit or something like that. So they have to go a slow speed. So those guys come in, stop, come in again, stop. They get all their fuel and they get new tires. So that was that. Anton jumped Chaz in the pits. Which is a bit lucky there because Anton had a slow stop earlier in his first one. And spinning wheels for Brown. So that wasn't great. He didn't. No, he did get pinged. I've got an article up here. Will Brown penalised for Ipswich pit stop breach? Yeah. So yeah, Speed Cafe updating us on these things because I don't know how to navigate the Supercars website. It's just complicated. And Supercars don't know how to make a graphic that's actually accurate. So that's their problem too. Waters that jumped Allen in the pits, that was key because Waters ended up being faster than Kai Allen. And Courtney got waved past on the safety car. And there was a bit of biffo between Zach Bates and Cameron Hill. I don't know what happened, but Zach Bates, I think he ran Hill a little bit wide at 6, but not like a lot. And Hill felt like he sort of pushed a bit hard. And so he was like he had like one go, ran him wide. Then he came back and he had another go and he ran him into the dirt. And then Zach Bates drops back and Nick Percat gets close to him. I don't know what happened there. He just sort of tagged him and put him off at turn 2. Anton had smoking tires from rear guard damage because Chaz Mostert bumped into him. Brody looked like he ran deep at 6. And Cameron Hill got a drive through for putting Bates out in the dirt. And 15 seconds to Percat. So I think it was a bit more. They gave Hill a harsher penalty, I think. I gave him a drive through because it was a bit more malicious, like he kind of did it on purpose. Whereas like Percat was just like he accidentally did it. And so yeah. Wood tagged Brown into a spin. And so he got 15 seconds for that. Waters and Brock Feeney had a pretty good battle for a bit. Chaz got 5 seconds for pushing Anton's rear guard in. We're almost at the end of the race. Yeah. Jaime and Brody were in the dirt at the exit of 6. It was pretty full on there because there was quite a few people trying to get past Heimgartner. I think Mostert just got past Heimgartner, so Jaime went in the dirt. And I think somebody got on the inside of Brody as well, maybe Kai Allen. No, it would have been Kai Allen. Might have been Matt Payne. Matt Payne was coming through. And then Brody was in the dirt at the exit of 3 as well. And then the right side air jack was down on Chaz's car. So that was an interesting one. He must have just hit a curb or something and rattled the car and the air jacks come down a bit. So yeah, Bates and Cameron and Cooper Murray had some sort of incident where I think Bates ran Murray off and then Murray ended up further down. So it's Captain Carnage being in the middle of it again, and maybe Zach Bates is going to be another Cooper Murray, another Captain Carnage, like talented, really good guy, but keeps on getting in biffo. So Zach Bates, what a rough one. Such a good job in the shootout, and then just everyone's playing for keeps. So the Wood Brown thing. So I think we saw Brown was sort of bumping up the inside of Wood on the way past, and then Wood sort of ran a bit deep and then tagged Brown and span him by accident. Like he didn't mean to, but he thought that the Brown's move on him wasn't very fair. And then after the race, they're flipping the bird at one another, giving the what for. So that was interesting. Yeah, so Woody pointed out that that's what that Brown had actually bumped in on the way past. So, but plenty of people do that. All right, and I think it was who was it marching around pit lane? Chad Nailon and Garth Tander. Talked to the fan told Hazelwood, who was there at DJR, getting ready for the Enduros. He has popped up at a few rounds over the course of the year. And he said that Brody's starting to unlock some things in the car, and they're not there just yet with the car. But he's got lots of ideas to bring to the mountain. So yeah, looking forward to Todd Hazelwood and Brody Kostecki in it. It's going to be interesting at least. And Brad Jones said that JC escorted Macca off at 2. And 2 tyres for Bryce. So I don't think we saw too much of Bryce in that one. He was in there, but not much going on. Any biffer, any battling? No. Bit of a quiet one. I think he had a quiet weekend that was actually quite good. So yeah, that's good. So that's what I got going on there. I've got like PowerPoint presentations and stuff to update, but then I realized that there's still some things being updated about the race, like penalties or post-race investigations. So there's still a bit to go, still a bit to take place before we actually get what's going on. I'm probably gonna go up to like the 1.5 hour mark, and then I'm gonna call it if no one drops in. So I guess I gotta get my phone to get my notes. So hang on a second. Okay, so got a couple things to talk about. So I'm gonna go to my list of supercars things to talk about. All right. All right. I already talked about overtime. Yeah, don't create artificial racing. Real racing is king. And I talked about it I recorded some Minecraft stuff for my gaming channel, and I talked about how supercars isn't a ball sport. You know, we've got the finals, we've got this attitude that like, oh, we have to do this at this time because AFL and NRL are on. But how come the world stops for Bathurst? You know, is there footy on for Bathurst, or the AFL doesn't budge for them? And what they say, oh, people know what times AFL are on. I don't know. I remember games happening at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and going until like 7. So and not starting at 7. So footy happens at different times. I don't know. And I'm talking about 11 years ago when I was watching home games for the Crows. So I got no idea what time footy is on. It's on at night time. It's on in the afternoon. I don't know much more than that. Yeah. So what else was there? Was there anything else? I'll go back to Speed Cafe stuff. Superbike stuff, Jackson Malls. The Toyota GR Cup. Coulthard was leading the race, and then the Biffo was on. I just finished going through my notes, dude. I just finished going through my notes for everything for QR. I can go over a couple things. First of all, overtime. Scott Pye was saying, oh, they got to introduce overtime because of that first race that finished on a safety car. And I think that's a load of rubbish. I think don't create artificial racing. So, you know, having everyone bunched up under safety car and then say go, someone will. It's why NASCAR is a crash fest, and so I don't think it's fair to like when you've already had most of the race and you've got a couple laps left before the race is over. Why bother? why bother saying, "Oh, we need it to be running under green flag"? You just did an entire race. There's a couple laps left, but by that point, all the gaps have been formed, and it's not like anything exciting was gonna happen in the next few laps unless somebody was coming through. So, it's not just that we don't have the spare cars for it to be a crash fest. Yeah, well, I think NASCAR's got that. They bring one every race, but that's because they know it's a crash fest. Yeah, but I don't think having cars getting wrecked is great racing. I think it's good to have actual racing, and I think Supercars does a pretty good job of it. I don't know if you've seen it, but there was a clip of was it Connor Zilic took out SVG at Watkins Glen, and he just bashed into him and took him out. It was not a screw up. Like he just did a really stupid thing. There are like five being built at the same time at the shop. Yeah, because they're all like TA2 cars. They're all exactly the same. Didn't lift off. He ran wide. SVG and there's a Austin Hill staying on the track on the limits on the actual confines of the track. And he just come in and gone bang. Aussie racing and NASCAR racing is a different culture. Yeah, I think so too. What were they talking about? They were even in the commentary, they had some guy, I don't know who the guy was, saying, "Oh, why doesn't he, what do they say, move him over?" That's the phrase they use for sticking someone in the fence or bumping them over. To them, Shane was meant to move back over. Yeah, or to give a bigger gap to let him back through, but it's like, no, you know, SVG comes from a place where there's great racing and you have to you're the one who ran off. You have to just come back in behind and continue the great race that they were having. And he was saying, "Oh, he's blocking. Brake deeper, accelerate earlier. What's the hard bit?" He was just complaining about it. He could have been bumping him like SVG used to do that in supercars. Just bump him out the way, you know, little like nudge him out. Tried to kill himself post race. What? What did he do? Because I saw hang on. Was Connor Zilic the one that fell off the car? Yeah. NASCAR star Zilic. He slipped on the netting. I haven't seen the actual clip of it, but I read it on Speed Cafe. I'm like, that's a weird one. So he's climbing out of the car. He had his foot on the netting and it slipped and he's just gone bang straight onto it and broken his collarbone. Oh, and they had to like lift him up and cart him off. Oh, but it was a punt to win that one. The Harry Jones thing was probably a bit more interesting. With QR, where he had to go off on the Friday to see his son being born. Got like 3 hours sleep or something. Came back and won the race on like no sleep. Didn't watch Carter's Cup. Carter's Cup. What's Carter's Cup? Is that I don't know. Is Yeah, but Harry Jones, he had a good weekend. I didn't really watch Porsche because I don't like it very much, but yeah, typo. All right, you mean like NASCAR? Yeah. What else was I doing? There was a few things that I kind of forgot about. Zach Bates had a great weekend at QR. He had a very competitive weekend. There was a fair bit of biffo, but I think he was pretty damn competitive and had a car that he could have a great result with. So that was good. Um, Yeah, I'll go back through my notes. Let's see. Yep. Hang on. Oh, the wooden brown thing. That was just an accident. There are a few guys with some big penalties though. Like MSR. You gotta feel bad for Matt Stone because Cam Hill just did a little aggressive thing. Full course yellow piss you off so bad. But it made the race though. It made the race. Like if it wasn't for full course yellow, having Waters, Allen, and Heimgartner double stop under it, that made the race. That was exciting. If they hadn't done it, if it was just a normal safety car, then it would have been an issue, I think. So that was for Crick, right? Yeah. So to come out first, yeah. How about Anton? Anton had a pretty solid weekend. There were a few things that happened with him on the weekend where Mostert bumped his guard in, and then he got 5 seconds for that. But just solid points for Anton. He was fast in qualifying. It looked like he could have done a good job in the shootout, but he might have warmed his tyre up too early. Jeremy Moore, early influence. Mark Scaife and Garth Tander were saying some interesting things. They were like, so Garth kept on saying, Jeremy Moore. And I think it's Anton's third round in a row that he's been scoring 150 points, like every round, just grabbing good points, clawing his way up through the top 10 of the championship. So it could be Jeremy Moore, but Anton's been saying that it's team just doing a really good job. Pit stop's a little bit crummy. It was a right front slow for Anton and David Reynolds in the pits. So that's what happens when you lose your good guy for the pit crew. They're both tracks that Team 18 aren't too bad at. For Darwin and Townsville, well, they used to go to Townsville and have a rubbish time though. They used to go to Darwin, rock up, stick one on the front row, race well, get maybe a podium if they were lucky, but definitely get some top tens. Go to Townsville and qualify down the back. And they used to do that for pretty much through the Gen 2 era. Race cars were good, but qualifying were bad. At Townsville, yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, I think we saw Frosty. Was it last year that Frosty dragged it up into the 10? I don't think he did that at all. I think he only had 2 top 10s in 24. I think it might have been 23 where he got the win, and then the next race he was down the back and then dragged it up into the 10. So, and then you had Scott Pye in 22 where he managed to qualify like 5th or something and then took himself out at the kink. Had to be 23. Yeah, I think 24 Frosty just had such a yeah. I think it had to be 23. 24 he was just nowhere. He had 2 top 10s and they were both podiums. So yeah. I don't know. I don't think they typically do well at Townsville. Brock swept in 24. They struggled. Triple Eight struggled in 23. I think we went through this. I think it was the last time, the time before. I mean, Brock sweeping in 24 doesn't necessarily mean that Frosty didn't have a top 10 at Townsville. But I think he had like a crappy race 1 and then a good race 2 where he dragged it up into the 10. Yeah. But Anton's been having a good time. I mean, Darwin. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, well, 23 was like the head. Brock got 1 win and Frosty got a win and Jack LeBrock got the win from pole. Sorry, because you said Frosty won. Yeah, so that's what I meant. I meant in 2023, Frosty got the win, and then they went to Townsville and qualified down the back. But even like after Frosty's win, in the race afterwards, because it's the old super sprint format, he what did he do? Yeah, after his race win, the next race he qualified down the back. So it's just, I was like, what? So it was a bit like that. You just couldn't trust that Team 18 were going to be consistent, but they are consistent with Anton this year. They just keep on sort of kicking themselves in the nuts in the pits. So apart from they did jump Mostert, yeah, Anton jumped Mostert in the pits. And then just their pit crew is basically what it was in 2023, and then hang on, no, not 23, 22, and then they got that guy from Erebus who's really good, Dennis Heusier. He's really good. He's like that guy in Sauber in Formula One. He just rocks up and then whips him into shape, and then they go bang, constantly just free falling through the field. Taupo, classic example this year. Anton, what did he do? He qualified up the front at Taupo and just had a shocker of a stop and was down the back 20th. Like, that actually cost him. Some of those mistakes just really cost him. He could have been further up in the field. But yeah, not a great time. But that's Team 18 for you. For some reason, they cannot keep it together. So yeah. Groves dug themselves out of the hole this weekend. They did not really have that much pace, but Kai Allen just found something that worked. Nailed it in race 1. Started 8th. Nailed it. Flew through. And was second by the end of the second lap. That was incredible. And screwed it up on the super softs. Some teams really screwed it up on the super softs, and some teams rocked up on the super softs. And was it Tickford and Premier showed their faces on the super softs, but then Premier managed to hang on to it in the second race, so they actually genuinely found pace. Tickford, they were the only time they rocked up was in that second race. Hang on, what happened to Randall in the second one? He get put off? Somebody, what happened to him? Randall. Oh, the Biffo. Yeah, Randall got caught up in that, didn't he? Someone, is he just no good? I don't know. So I think I got to go back through the races again because I think Randall did get caught up in it, but I don't think he had damage. So yeah, not sure. There's some really funny moments, some funny things. What was it? Ryan Wood said some funny things on the weekend. He said it somewhere. He said they asked him about his starts, and he said, "I don't know what I'm doing." I thought that one was great. Do you want to do a wet lap? Scott Pye was really good on the broadcast team. He didn't like, some people were like, "Oh yeah, you gotta really mess him up. You gotta do this," and he was completely respectful with what he had to say. He would just add these little things. And some people think that these ideas that he has are great ideas. He's talking about something in the stages in NASCAR. Like, do not make supercars like NASCAR. It does not need it. We've got great racing. We've got a great process that actually works. It's fine. Full course yellow, debatable. I think full course yellow actually worked quite well for Cameron Creek being beached. That was fine. The wheel at Bathurst last year, at the first round, that was one that you're not really sure. I think it was at Sandown. I think people get upset because you, because what used to happen on a normal safety car was that the safety car would get called. You get one chance to all come in. People double stacked. Um, it just screw them up. Bathurst is just a big track, so it sucks having full course yellow. Yeah. Um, but I think just it retains the gaps and it doesn't cause a follow up safety car. And I think it's okay not to have safety cars because, like, while it makes the race exciting, 2019 is a great example. We had nothing until Hazelwood put it in the fence at McPhillamy or whatever part of the track it was. Going over the top, he's just stuck it in the fence in the MSR car and caused a safety car. That was like after lap 100. And so we did the first 100 laps. Great race, usual great Bathurst. And then it was like safety car after safety car after safety car, would not stop. And then Coulthard backed up the field and ruined everything. Up until that point, it was a really good race. I don't think safety cars are completely necessary unless, like, full course yellow, I think has been fine. I think it's good if you think the race is getting boring, but Bathurst is like that. I've been watching 2006. I haven't finished watching it, but there's just not a lot going on for a big portion. They interviewed Greg Murphy. He's just chilling. They interviewed Craig Lowndes watching Whincup turn it on and start cutting his way through the field. Like, sometimes Bathurst isn't always super exciting. When I was a kid, I used to run off and do something else once the gaps started to form, and then come back and, like, last year I was hanging up my washing while the race was going on. There were no safety cars for that one, and then you had Kostecki versus Feeney. That was getting intense. That one. I thought that was great. I don't think we need safety cars unless um unless you really need, unless, like, it's a serious safety issue. But once you got people traveling around at like 80 k's an hour, it's not that big an issue. So Bathurst is dead these days. It's just follow the leader. Unless your car is so much faster, you're not passing. I think it depends. Well, we've only had 2 Bathursts in the Gen 3 era, and last year was the first genuine one. But there were no safety cars, and Brodie was fast enough. I think, was it Feeney was closing the gap, and then they made an adjustment on Brodie's car, and then Feeney, and they just gapped Feeney. So there wasn't really. He knew Brock. Brock was never passing him. Yeah. What else? What else happened in that one? Who was Scott Pye um Scott Pye was and Will Brown were third, and they never saw anyone. Who else? Cam Waters and James Moffat, Chaz Mostert. I think Mostert was playing. Was trying to come back through the field. Brock is a mirror of Jamie Whincup. Yeah. Brock is really making a name for himself. This season especially. He doesn't have that dog in him, so if you have enough resistance, he's not moving you out of the way. Yeah, I think he's just a good racer. We saw, I think, at Townsville, Will Brown was shoving people out of the way, and Brock wasn't. He was just getting the move done. So I don't think that you need to have that dog in you, that you need to fight for 17th with everything you've got. That's not great. Yeah, Will Brown will use that front bumper. He will, but it's not NASCAR. And look, we don't mind a bit of bump. Like, come on, mate, get out of the way, or what's going on? I don't mind that. It's when you biff him out of the way, like a proper bump and run. Few race wins he's given up because he's being nice. Brock Feeney. What race wins? Hang on, what races would Brock have done that? I don't think he has. Tassie? That's his win if he's aggressive. Is that the one that Randall did the... Is that the one? Hang on, let me... Sat behind Matt Payne for like 3 laps with fresh tyres. Tassie's hard though. This year, Tassie is very like he was trying, but Matt Payne was putting the car in the right spot, and so if you put the car in the right spot, it's like the SVG Connor Zilic thing. If you put the car in the right spot, they can't get through. So what's he gonna do? Is he gonna? Matt Payne knew where Brock was gonna put the car, so. And yeah, maybe if he bumped him a bit, he could have got something to happen. But then it'd be like SVG. And remember, we hated SVG for doing stuff like that because it wasn't fair. His racecraft isn't great when he doesn't have a major pace advantage. I think he did a pretty good job at Taupo though. You loved that. You loved SVG bumping everyone out of the way, and then he gets the shits on because Anton spun him. Like pick a lane. That's what it's like. Nobody wanted to do it back to him. That's the issue. And then Anton did. He did. He got him back. Mostert and Waters weren't giving it to him, and that was annoying. But then Waters started turning it on at Winton. So that was good. But he spun him. Shane never spun people. But he still, yeah. So yeah, just that was a screw up. That was like what Woody did to Brownie today. He had a go, and he screwed up. And yeah, that was the only thing that anyone got SVG back for that year. So I don't know if there were any other things. I don't think SVG did anything else. They get to Shane, they act like they have to race so clean. Yeah. But I think that's why we liked Anton having a go. He was like bumping him. Come on. And yeah, sometimes Supercars racing is like that, where they just can't get past, and then that's the end of it. And Formula One's like that. Every kind of racing is like that. Like, no, you're letting him win. Be pissed off for coming second. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't think there's much you can do about that, apart from adding like a push to pass, which I think push to pass is creating artificial racing like DRS does. It's just like, do a better job. If you're not doing a better job, then get out of the way. Like just the bumping, do a little bit of bumping. Don't like bump them out of the way. Like don't bump and run them. So that's where I draw the line. Don't think it's artificial because everyone has the same opportunity to use it. Yeah. All right. Is it in IndyCar they can only use it a certain number of times? Something like that. And so you gotta DRS, like you gotta be within a second. Yeah, I know that. And sometimes even when you got DRS, I mean it's just in my game really in F1 Manager that sometimes you got DRS and you can't get past. But yeah, I don't mind that sort of stuff. It's fine. It doesn't ruin it. Um, it's just it's like another way of doing things. Pushed past, Frosty spoke about it. Yeah, because they had it in Brazilian stock car racing. That's why he knows about it. And I think he talked about it on Apex Hunters. Yeah, and I think something that Brock brought up was delay in it, so you can't just respond. Yeah, it's like push to pass, and you got to wait like 5 seconds or something before it kicks in, so you can't really quite time it right. So that's good. We like that. What is it? Brock said something about the 25 points he gets. It's only for Gold Coast, and then after that, you don't get those extra points. But I think you still get extra points for your championship position. So I think we'll see. We'll see how it works after Bathurst. Supercars cannot tell their freaking story straight about what order the finals, what order the gap is, in the standings. Oh, it's frustrating as hell. Like the relative gap, they cannot still tell their story straight. That stuff frustrates me. I don't remember where I saw it. I saw it somewhere. It was on the Supercars website. Oh, it's the finals. They've got like a little finals thing somewhere. Oh, here we go. So they call. Hang on, I'll show it. Told you Kai Allen will make it. He's not on the 10 yet. He's not on the 10 yet. He's right on the bubble at 21 points away. Yeah, he's not on the 10 yet. And they got the Bend, and they've got Bathurst, and Dale Wood is a good steerer. But there's plenty to play out. So he's not in it yet. He will be in it. What if Randall has a solid enduro season? What if Randall somehow turns it on at the Bend like he did in 23, and he just runs up and gets a podium with Moff, and they go to Bathurst and they manage to not have a crap time? Heimgartner stinks. You just love Kai Allen so much. You're just so sure about him. Those cars are just so slow, like an MF. Like Heimgartner he'll be in there. Hang on, what happened last year? What happened to Jaime last year? Jaime was 11th at Sandown, 16th at Bathurst. Okay, whereas both Grove cars were actually good. So yeah, I just know that he's faster and be a better addition in the finals. Just having him there would be good. Woody's already in there. Woody will be good. They have what's the did they actually update the points for finals? Because Will Brown got his penalty, dropped to 23rd in that last race, so now he's third in the championship. So yeah, we got Anton, Andre, Woody, Randall. Randall's dropping out, I think. Yeah, but So yeah, Randall's. Hang on, I'll show the thing so we can actually. Yeah, it's close. Randall needs to turn it around. He had a rubbish Townsville. He had a rubbish Darwin, and Kai Allen may very well outscore him. But Woody might have a shocker. Woody might crash out at the Bend or have an issue and crash out at Bathurst. So Woody could drop out. And Andre could drop out. So Randall could still somehow make finals. I don't think anybody else is gonna get into the finals. I don't think, Percat, Fullwood, Golding, LeBrock, unless they have, like, a really good one. So, yeah, I'm not expecting those guys to do anything crazy. Anton's probably well in there, though. Like, he's 7th. He's 100 and is he not he's not quite 100 points ahead of Heimgartner, but, like, just have a tidy enduro season, come 11th in one of the races, and get a top 10. Be a better addition in the finals, Scott Pye said. Cam Hill going to BJR and LeBrock going back to MSR. Not sure about LeBrock going back to MSR. Would be good. Um, Cam Hill to BJR, I think, is just a sidestep. It's just like it could even be a downgrade. Changing teams doesn't mean you're going to have a better time. Well, there's a free seat. Yeah, so if there's a free seat, then yeah. But then there's also BRT. There's Team 18, where we don't know if Reynolds is going to stay at Team 18, but we had a poll at Townsville, so maybe that's good. But Frosty had 2 podiums, so who knows? So you assume LeBrock will fill it up at MSR, and LeBrock did a very good job at MSR. And he's doing a good job at Erebus while they try to teach Murray how to drive. So, yeah. They got a history too. They didn't leave on bad terms. No, they didn't. Did I think? I think Percat. Oh, hang on. I think you missed out on me talking about Percat leaving MSR. I thought it was such a load of crap. Cooper Murray's racecraft is abysmal. It is, and he's such a fast race driver. He just, I don't know what the hell is wrong with the guy, but he just loves the biffo. And Zach Bates is going to be another Cooper Murray. That's what I'm seeing from this weekend. It's the same. He legit can qualify up the front, and then like he'll battle really hard with Chaz Mostert or something, and then go off. It's frustrating. But Percat leaving MSR, like there's a load of crap. Because why are you battling Mostert? I mean, you still got to battle Chaz, but don't like try to run him off the track. You don't need to be doing. You don't need to be racing for sheep stations. No, it's not your race. Yeah, he's still got to have a go. You're racing in the back of the 10. Yeah, but you sort of gotta you gotta get a good taste of it, because then he's gonna go to the Bend and he's gonna go to Bathurst, which it's great that they ran him at QR because he can just hang around the car for the next 3 rounds. That's why he's last all the time. Yeah. But that's Zach Bates that I was talking about. But Cooper Murray is the same, yeah. Battling cars that are clearly faster and gets punted off. Yeah, then wants to cry. Yeah, they kind of cut from the same mold, aren't they? Zach Bates and Cooper Murray. Except Zach Bates managed to not have a crappy 2024, and so he had a great time. Disagree with the Bates thing. He just got boxed up because he's a rookie. Yeah, I think there were a few people who might have been a little bit jealous, but he might have been racing him hard. Golding raced. Okay, hang on. He got ran off a few times. Hang on, let me find my notes. Here we go. Bates. Somebody, I think Golding ran him off. Not seeing much for him on the first one. Where did he go in the first race? Well, yeah, Cam Hill, that was just stupid. I don't know. That was malicious, that was. He was like, he did 2 goes at it too. He ran him to the edge, and then he came back and he put him in the dirt. And then I think Perkats was a screw up. There's a reason they gave Cam Hill a drive through because that was malicious. Perkat was just like a genuine accident. He's just well, he still gets a penalty for tagging him. Like, you're about to hit a guy, maybe do something about that. Could have spun into the pit wall. Possibly, but I think they were side by side, weren't they? And Ryan Wood was a bit of a hypocrite about his as well. Hate 15 seconds for driving infringements. Is that because you just love safety cars? You just wanted the whole field boxed up so that you can get a crash vest, or I think the 5 seconds for a bump and run and 15 seconds for a rotation, I think that's fine. I think that makes sense. How's spinning someone equal to 15 seconds? Because they've got to get back on track and then get going and get back up to speed again. That's 15 seconds. Plus an extra for, yeah. And for Will Brown's today, he got spun. Having the what do you call this? Smoking the wheels. That's a drive through. Always has been. Always should be. But then that turns into a 30-second penalty. This penalty fit the crime. Which is the dumbest thing I've heard. Penalty fit the crime. Penalty is meant to be harsh, so you don't do it again. Yeah, that makes sense. I think, yeah. I think maybe it's just about not ruining the race. Because we had a great Adelaide last year where, what was it? Was that because of the 15 seconds? Hang on. Not the Feeney and Mostert stuff. Brody, I think. Yeah, it kind of 15 seconds is like a little probation. Yeah, I don't know. I think it stays, I guess. Full course yellow, I think, is good. 15 seconds. Feeney contact in pit lane. Yeah, well, I said aside from 15 seconds for banging into him in pit lane. I would have said 5 seconds maybe, unless it caused damage. Feeney spinning Mostert, that's a drive through always. When did they have that? They didn't have that all the time, did they? And it kind of ruined the racing where like you'd have a couple fast guys down the back because they served some people up. I think that's what used to happen. But recently brought it in, I think 2023. I think they brought it, was it 23 or was it 24? Last year or the year before, that was when they introduced the 5 seconds and 15 seconds. Scave used to moan in commentary all the time. About the drive-throughs. Yeah. Back in like 2002, they used to have the penalty doesn't fit the crime. Yeah, and that was just probably on consistency. Don't spin someone. Yeah. They probably don't, but they usually don't do it on purpose. Like, Cameron Hill running Zach Bates off, that was an on purpose one. Like he was like, "Oh, you didn't go off? Have another go." And what Russell Ingall used to do, where he took Scafie out and he took that random guy out at Queensland, and put him in the fence. I don't think it being an accident should matter. No. Yeah. Have you listened to Craig Baird's podcast on V8 Sleuth? Because he'll explain heaps of stuff. Like Reynolds versus Kostecki at Gold Coast. He said he was cutting when they cut like I said, Reynolds cut the chicane. I don't think Reynolds was gonna get through that chicane. Was gonna make that corner. I think he was going in the fence. Some of them explanations are dumb. But Craig Baird said for 2023 Gold Coast, Reynolds hadn't done the chicanes wrong at all weekend, and then at that one time, he cut it. I don't care if you make a mistake, and that's all you can do. For Gold Coast, so if you cut the chicane 5 seconds, I suppose that he could have, if he made a mistake, that's the reason he went through. You can't cut a chicane just to stay in front. Brody had plenty of chances to get past him for the rest of the lap. Any other track, you're in the weeds. Yeah, well, that's it. That's when Feeney took out Mostert. But he still got the back straight at Adelaide. They used to have walls at that. Was it walls or tires? Remember that was a huge issue at Gold Coast. They used to have the tire bundle at that chicane. And people kept. Is it just in the back straight at Gold Coast? They didn't. Did they have something in like 2006, something like that? I think they couldn't get through that chicane. That's fine, because for some reason Supercars doesn't have Gold Coast 06 tire bundle for all of them, and I reckon people used to just smash into them, and it used to ruin the race. So, the driver's seat have got an interview with Anton. That's good. Gold Coast 2006 Supercars. Jason Richards versus Craig Lowndes. All right, we can watch that. They could cut the chicane back in 06. All right. Yeah, so that's always been an issue, but it's probably just like because have you played V8 Supercars 3? Because in that one they've got a wall, so you just have to try and not hit the wall. And yeah, but what about so they've never had. What about like Larko 99? Is it Larko 99? If it's it's a game, you cheese it. If not, yeah. I mean, they're just but I think you would used to get like you would get like if you're qualifying, you get a black and white flag, and so you'd screw up your lap. If it was in a race, you just cut it. But if you did it too many times, you get black flag and you have to go through the pits. That's how V8 Supercars 3 used to work. But I'll show. We'll watch some Gold Coast 99. I want to watch the one that Larko wins. Yeah, using the old cars at Gold Coast. Because they used to do it before Bathurst.
chances last year with Bathurst because there was so much work involved in fixing the 18 car after the bang it had that it put us so far behind the 8 ball that we got to Bathurst and we're still trying to repair the car. And so it was a protective move really on Glenn's part just to ensure that our Bathurst car could be put away, prepared properly, quietly, in the time frame that we wanted. As a matter of fact, it's actually
Stay honest, Neil.
So if anybody would like an EL foot up in Togo used very occasionally on Sundays, very sedately, I might mention. Just come and see Honest Neil's used car deals.
That's good. Oh, Larry. Because he wants to win. Huh. Good take, Larry.
Let's see how they did in qualifying. Adelaide in a first for the V8 Supercars at the
Bridie.
300. The fastest 10 from qualifying would contest a one-lap shootout for pole. Despite Jason Bright being first out, meaning he was only 10th in qualifying, set a time that would make the others work hard. Jason Bright
Bridie was really good on his day in that car. Isn't Richo on there?
Next out was one of the real performers of the 99 season, Young Panda. The 22-year-old steered the Valvoline Commodore around the
He's got a VT. Gary's not going cheap. Probably because they didn't have another car.
Tander's time survived challenges from Castrol Ford's Tony Longhurst and Mark Skate. Despite Skate missing pole, the qualifying specialist...
It's so weird seeing that. Okay. That's a reverse version of the 99 livery. Oh, tag the fence.
Queensland 500 winner Russell Eagle driving the car Larry Perkins campaigned all year couldn't do a thing about Tander's 155.00 either. But Paul Radisich sure could.
The rat. There you go. Was that Grant Daniel? I reckon that was Grant Daniel in there. Ellery. You know, when I see 31, I think Golding, but I forget about Ellery. Ellery was good. Bloody hell.
The track feels great, yeah. I think definitely since the Indy cars went out a couple of times today, the track's definitely better. And the car just feels sensational, and such a credit to the team and all the guys, really. Just one car left.
Lowndes. Here we go.
The surface streets weren't kind to the kid.
Whoa! Oh. Oh, that's a solid hit too. He's damaged the door. Stephen E.L. Ellery.
We talk a lot about what this street circuit is like, the concrete canyons, how difficult it is to pass, etc., etc. Well, let's have a ride now with Neil Crompton at Surfers Paradise.
Is he going to commentate it? Yep.
Extremely tight, it's a real concrete canyon and very, very slippery.
He went slow through there.
Over the curbs, up against the concrete wall into the second complex. Position the car. Number 15 in the run down here then. Hard on the brakes, back to second, down to the 8 hotel. This is the most
They got rid of the grass. It's interesting. Maybe it's Gold Coast has changed. Yeah, what do they got in the back straight here? Yeah, just curbs. Oh, Gold Coast is a great track. It's very interesting that he hugs to the left there. The lap looks a bit different to modern supercars.
Another masterful performance there by Cromley behind the wheel and the microphone. But how will he do it in the heat of battle? There is the siren sounding as we cross to our commentators, Lee Diffie and Mark Osler with a special guest, the Murph, Greg Murphy. One race down already this weekend for the V8 Supercars. They raced earlier this morning, and we can tell you that Paul Radicic has won his very first V8 Supercar race, and he beat Stephen Ellery home. As we take a look at the grid for you in this one, Radicic will start from pole. Results from race one. Ellery on the side. Tander and Ingle, Lowndes and Faulkner, Gardner and Larkham in top 8. Out of row 5, Neil Crompton is to the left with him. Tony Longhurst alongside before Larry Clevins and Steve Reed. Jason Bargwan a little bit further down the order, 43 seconds behind the leader in the opening race today. Glenn Seaton alongside Jason Wright and Dick Johnson in 16. We're getting back into the people who ran into some problems. Wright and Johnson had their troubles in the first race. They didn't escape. He stopped his way back.
What the hell?
So too, Stephen Richards will start from 20th. Now something different here, Greg Murphy, that we're looking forward to is a rolling start, a non-traditional start for V8 Supercars.
Seen the problems that Supercars have had previously up the Gold Coast, and the first corner's always been a bit of a mix-up, and a few of the cars have been eliminated for the weekend, so they've decided to try and solve that by having a rolling start, also single file, so the guys will run down here, single file, and obviously we won't have the tyre smoking off the line, but they're just trying to keep these guys from getting caught in accidents.
McDonald's Extreme Burger, what the hell?
Well, they obviously been doing it without all the pressure on. I mean, yesterday in the top 10 laps, he obviously had a big straight, which cost him any chance of getting pole position. And, these guys are pushing really hard. As we've seen, some of them are running the older cars, the ES Commodores, the young Falcons, and they're not holding back at all. So that's been a bonus in that respect, I suppose.
15 laps around the 4.5 kilometre Gold Coast.
I guess Gary had the same approach as Larry, which is just give the people what they want. I guess you don't really care. It's still V8 Supercar going flat out through the streets of Gold Coast. What more do you want?
Race for V8s in the country. It's only 4 weeks away, so you can just see everything. They build everything on that final.
Well, it's going to come down to the end of it. The end of it, the championship is got Mark Skate still in with a chance of winning that. Craig Lowndes obviously in the front, and they don't want to risk it. They've got to have the best equipment possible up at the FAI 1000 this year. And these guys are, I suppose, fortunate enough to also have two PS Commodores.
The Murph must have crashed out or something in that first race.
Just through two guys, the race has been reduced to 14 laps, so just one lap
Oh.
left. Some fantastic pictures here from Surfers Paradise in Queensland, and the V8s are going to be going hard. Terrific pictures coming to you from the Goodyear blimp above the streets of Surfers, bringing us some wonderful pictures. And fortunately, the weather is on our side this afternoon. We did have a great day Wednesday when we arrived, but then Thursday it just bucketed down. Yesterday was a mixed day, but today for racing, and of course, for the
Larko.
their qualifying session, it's all been good. Mark Larkin, who brought up his very first V8 Supercar career win here last year.
Ah, 98. All right. Whoops, I got the year wrong. I thought 99, but no. 98, Larko got the win. That was the one where Crompo and Larko battling for the win.
He's got a lot of ability. It shows that this car, they're not running up a lot of money sponsorship. A limited amount of sponsorship, mostly from his father.
It's like in these days, in 99, that
There it is there. You can see how much
the privateers had a better shot at good results compared to like the better funded DJR, HRT teams or better engineered Larry Perkins,
we are about to go green here at Surfers Paradise, the pace car.
Stone Brothers.
And we will get a start to this 14-lap V8 Supercar race.
Oh, they're doing that as a rolling start. Garth Tander in a VT. Lowndes in top 5 after he hit the fence in qualifying. Was it? It's a weird thing. Because they didn't even show the race. They were just like, yeah, this is where they ended up after the race.
Well, it just takes a lot of commitment. You've got to basically realise, well, look at it and say, well, these balls aren't actually
Oh.
intended on there, and just go for it. I mean, it's a fantastic circuit. It really does put down to who can provide the most commitment to the circuit, and you've got to enjoy it as well. If you don't enjoy this place, you will not have a good run here. Craig Lowndes never actually finished his first race. Small, first ever race here. He's raced here 3 or 4 times, and it was his first race win. So you got Tony Lomas down the inside having a look as they come out onto the back section of the track.
Tandy got a little loose earlier this morning and wasn't able to take the challenge right up to Stephen.
Got Lowndes right in the back of Engel.
Also Craig Lowndes, who is starting out to work the back of Russell Engel. So
Yeah.
interesting positional challenges happening on the opening lap as they bounce through the Foster chicane.
Where's Scaife? Oh, way down the order, right?
Wayne Gardner making his return to V8 Supercars this weekend.
Oh!
Bit of a contact.
Almost.
Against Russell Engel, he's got 2 spots here. He's just taken Ellery as well. Moves it to
Here we go. Oh.
as well, so she's all having it.
Yeah, Ellery just made a slight booger there. That cost him dearly. Garth's over enthusiasm here last year was one of the rounds that cost him.
Oh, Garth over the
Get the tag of the wild man, but he shrugged that off successfully.
over the rubbish.
Now we see him getting stuck back into it here. Hard at it. Out in front as Paul Radicic, who has a handy margin over Russell Engel. Then Steve Ellery. There's the end of the lead.
Bye bye, Rat. Yeah. I mean, Wayne Gardner had pretty much given up by that stage. Oh, he's closed the door on him. I thought that was what happened. Yeah. Because I'm like, why would Ellery have backed that far up? He must have been blocked. He's not close enough. Lowndes isn't close enough.
As we look back from Russell Engel's car, the VT that Larry Perkins ran all year.
Well, Lowndes was the fastest in the race to record actually, and he's on a mission to finish this race here on a good note and get a race win. So he's pushing really hard. But Mark's gave that great comments this morning, and I hopefully the car's race somebody is up and able to push that one.
Such an impressive stuff. The structure of the Supercar behind a great movie. The fact that Stephen Elliott can go and buy an ex-Stone Brothers car, one of the top cars from last year. Look how competitive it is now.
Well, as you say, it won 2 races here last year. Very competitive car. You still have to drive it on Steve's doing that at the moment. He's got a good setup in it. He's going to be very comfortable. He's had some great performances this year. Hasn't run all the races in the Shell Championship, but once he has been, he's done really good.
Well, word is that he and his partner Bruce have been speaking with some sponsors for next year. Deals haven't been put to bed. Let's hope that something can come for the other guys. Longhurst is ahead of Perkins.
They get super cheap from Briggs.
Neil Crompton. Seaton is further back, so too is Tim Johnson. No carnage as yet, which is great for the team.
It's John Bow in this one in 99. Must have been. Down the back must have been. Or maybe they just didn't compete. Because 99 he was in PIA Motorsport, right? And then he moved to... It got bought out by Briggs in 99. So, I think he would be. Just way down the back, I guess. Iguana, Steve Reed, Ben Seaton, Mark Scaife, Dick Johnson, Steve Richards, Mano Peters. No Bow, I guess. Interesting. Guess they just didn't want to. Longhurst on Larko.
Second gear, so that the car is really much power man. You've got to have the car, the traction has to be right to get off the turns properly. And if you can do that and have some good brakes in the car, you're going to have a very, very fast one.
There's so much talk about muscling these big 600 horsepower beasts around this track. When you do bounce off the ripple strips, how much comes back through the steering wheel? How hard is it to hang on?
It does, and a lot comes back through the wheel. You do have to hang on to this, that you've got to be basically anticipating what the car's going to do when you hit the curves. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a fantastic circuit, the way it's been laid out, and the curves and the time that you can run over the top of them and not get out of control. As you see, Longhurst having a go at Larkin, this guy's right over the top of these things, off the grass, pushing very hard.
If you just joined us on your Open Motorsport Network 10, you're watching the second of 3 V8 Supercar races here this weekend.
Interesting lines some of these guys are taking.
From Wins Racing's Greg Murphy, a former race winner here on the streets of Surfers Paradise. We watched Russell Ingall hold out Stephen Ellery and Garth Tander and Craig Lowndes. Paul Radisich, though, in the Shell.
Maybe Bow crashed out of the first one as well. I didn't think about that.
Second place Ingall. That's Ellery.
Look at the horsepower of that Ford coming up under there, Russell Ingall. It's right up behind the ex-Stone Brothers racing car. A lot of horsepower, and Stephen right up against the wall, and that's what you have to do to go fast around here.
He must have bought Stone Brothers 98 EL that Bridie had and built a new AU for him.
Fastest man on the track at the moment is Garth Tander, running in 4th position at 155.27 for the Valvoline Cummins driver. There he is. Back there behind Ellery.
Well, he's going fast, but he's not passing anyone. What about Lowndes? How come Lowndes isn't going that fast? Their factory VS is not good enough.
So he's making his way forward. Iguana is 13th, and Jason Wright in the 13th corner is 12th. So some big names further back with some work to do. There's your race leader, Radisich from 2 is Ingall, 3
It was just because Garth's a better driver.
is really menacing. Now at the back there in 5th position. He's giving Tander a hard time. There's about 2 or 3 car lengths yet now as they roll down the main straight one more time. A 14-lap race. Plenty of distance and time yet.
Not a lot of passing.
And Craig Lowndes now the fastest man on the second. He's the first to drop into the 1 minute 54s. 154.9
No one's. Larko's pulling away from Longhurst. Oh, Bugs! Bloody hell. Oh, he's chasing Larry Perkins. Oh, is that Lowndes just got Tander? Just as they put the graphic up. Oh, no! Here comes Lowndes. Not quite getting it. Bloody hell. Mm. Like Lowndes was going to get him, but he didn't get him.
Let's give some credit to Ellery because he didn't panic when the pressure was on. That's right. Tander came down the inside and he gave him some room. Tander's line into the next one was very narrow, came out the wrong angle.
Well, here we go. Here we go. Oh, no. Oh, ah. And they bumped into him. Oh. Where's the muscle? Come on, Russell. He's having such a clean race.
He's heading for his second V8 Supercar career win. But the battle is for the minor placings. This is Stephen Ellery, car 31. From Garth Tander, car 34. And we go to Russell Engel, followed by Craig Lowndes, who incidentally qualified quickest. Then when it came to the top 10 shootout, right here, smashed the VS Commodore into the wall and went back to 10. So he's been working hard all day. Here is your Integra Type R race score. Radisich, Ellery, Tander, Engel. We can see that. Lowndes in fifth. John Faulkner's had a consistent day.
Yeah. John Faulkner was good. He just ended up driving around in cars that were too old. He's run deep. Scraped the wall. Yeah, Tanner's banging to the back of him. Bang. No. They're just showing all this again. Yeah, Lowndesy will be trying to have a go. Lowndesy's trying to push past Russell. That livery that they had 99 and with that particular blue one, which they had in the VSs, but they had it reversed on the VTs. That was cool. Because when McConville drove it at Tassie, he had blue at the front as well. But the VSs just weren't as fast as the VTs for some reason. Might have been old cars or something. And they just didn't put the new bits in them.
Catches up under brakes, over the top of the curves, accelerates down the back. Tell you what, while this battle's on, Stephen Ellery is absolutely flying. He's just set a new lap record. He's undercut Lowndes by 0.3 of a second on 154. 4-1 for the Gold Coast, and this is outstanding driving. Should we point out that Lowndes' old lap record that was just eclipsed was in an old car, and Ellery's just set the new lap record in an old car? Nothing wrong with the ELs and BSs.
That's carriage running. Oh, well, that's not running. It's not running. So I keep getting that mixed up.
They did very well, considering the difference in physical size. Ellery is huge. He's very, very tall. And Paul Radicic is quite short. They fit it together perfectly in the AUXRA and Queensland Raceway, and were running very strong before they were put out. Queensland on the inside. Gotcha. Moves up.
Whoa. Looked like he lost the rear there.
Really good run out of there. Line Russell up on the brakes, shot up the inside. Obviously the VS is working very well. We've seen 10 and challenging the Ellery. These two are going to hold each other up.
I don't think the VS is working very well. Otherwise, he'd be further up. The EL's working very well. Garth's driving very well.
He did well at Bathurst a few years ago when he got third with Tony Longhurst, but maybe that was mostly Longhurst. Now he has proven for himself with 5 laps remaining that he can do it all by himself.
Oh, Lowndes pulled a bit of a gap on Russell. Oh, the Rat's got it in the bag. Ellery's not going to pull 5 seconds on him in 4 laps. 3 seconds in 4 laps.
Stephen isn't exactly a grandpa himself. He's only just turned 25, so plenty of racing years left in him.
Should have watched Lowndes here. He's on a mission. The car's actually working pretty well. He's not going to make a 10 this time. I think the back chicane should be reached. He'll probably try another move like he did with Russell a lap ago. And see if he can slot that VS up the inside of Garth's BT Commodore.
Good place to be on a mission too, in front of all these champ car team owners. There's all sorts of rumours floating around at the moment. Lowndes has done the deal, or he's close to a deal, or he's going to do something with champ cars or maybe Indy Lights.
Lowndes is going to go somewhere in 99. Oh my God. Lowndes to champ car. What? People just make shit up. I'm sure there was some sort of offer going on, but probably nothing too serious. No. It's like Max going to Mercedes. Like, it has to be really clear to do it. Steve Reed right on the back of Richo. Whoop. Crompo slipped down a bit. He's got Cito right on him. Dickie Johnson. Yeah. Oh, Ellery Lowndes, Garth. Whoa. That looks bad. Lowndes' car looks wrecked. Somebody went into the tires and bounced back or something. Not happy. Fucking hell. Oh my God. Ellery's looking for a sponsor for crash damage. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Jesus. That's what I thought. Somebody's gone into the tires. Bang. 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 Hit the brakes, Russell. Slam them. Pick up second. Red flag. Bloody hell, Ellery. Bit sore. Yeah, when the wheels spin. Ooh. Yeah. I reckon the wheel must have spun when he's come out of the wall. And it's just gone when he's had his hand somewhere near there. And just, whoa, that is a very big hit.
Come into the tyres have sucked him into the wall, turned him around. He's in a bit of pain. Now Craig's just checking to make sure he's all right.
And for once, Russell Ingall escapes a crash here on the Gold Coast. Luck was on his side, but not for Ellery or Lowndes. See what I had Craig's left leg's okay.
He's saying sorry, mate. You see that, Mark?
And he got nailed right.
He said, "You're right, mate. Shit happens."
Footbox area. Craig's leg's okay. Looks like he's okay now.
Craig Lowndes, I suppose, can smile. That's not his Bathurst car that he's going to have to race with.
No, it's not his Bathurst car. It's all right, mate. It's a spare.
I guess we should say too that the Ellery car, whilst we don't like to see them damaged because it's so
Bloody hell.
doesn't need to use that car at the FAI 1000 either. You can see Ingall escaping. So too John Faulkner. Well, if you want proof of the value of the system of running the older cars around the streets of Surfers Paradise, that's a graphic demonstration. Down to the car.
That's why they run the old cars.
Will take its second win of the day. Oh, the Honda Indy 300 right after this.
People used to do that at Albert Park as well for the same reason.
Welcome back to the 1999 Honda Indy 300.
All right, I'll call it. That. See what you've had to say. Love this old track. How the hell did Lowndes still qualify fifth after hitting the wall? I think it was progressive grids. I think that's what it was. That he hit the wall in qualifying, carved his way up to fifth, and then Hillary's gone in and smashed up. Yeah, that was a good one. That one. Sometimes there's gold out there in Australian Touring Car Championship history. I like watching. I watched all of I think 1991, where they had the Nissans and then they had Longhurst in the BMW, but they had 3 different kinds of tires like Dunlop, Yokohama, and it's the skill gap. He's just not that good. Yeah, he got a bit lucky driving the fastest car 3 years in a row. Could be. But then Scafie wasn't that good, was he? But I mean, Scafie was faster, I think. There were some stinkers on the grid. Scafie would get pole more than Lowndes. Like you put Scafie. Oh, that. I don't know. Hang on. Who got pole? Hang on. Where do I have information on this? Hang on. I've got information on Bathurst shootout. Only goes up to 2023, unfortunately. I've got a few PowerPoint presentations that need serious updating. All right, 99, Lyco on pole. 2000, Gardner on pole, which I think was wet qualifying. 2001, Ambrose. 2002, Scaife. 2003, Murph. 2004, Richo. 2005, Lowndes. 2006, 2005 Lowndes, 2006 Scaife, 2007 Frosty, 2008 Tander, 2009 Tander, 2010 Winterbottom, 2011 Murphy, 2012 Davo, 2013 Winkup, 2014 Van Gisbergen, 2015 Reynolds, 2016 Winkup, 2017 McLaughlin, 2018 Reynolds, 2019 McLaughlin, 2020 Waters, 2021 Mostert, 2022 Waters, 2023 Kostecki, 2024 Kostecki. Yeah. I think Scafie was definitely always like just a bit faster in some regard. Like if Scafie was up there, Lowndes. I know, I think they shared a car. 2000, Scaife and Lowndes shared a car, right? And then Supercars 99, but shared a car in 2000. 2001, Scafie well up, Lowndes driving the crap box. 2002 Scafie had pole. 2003 Lowndes better than Scaife, apparently. There you go. 2004. Something must have happened. No shootout for Scafie and TK. 2005 Scafie was up there. Lowndes got pole though. 2006 Scaife on pole. Lowndes well down. They had a race car. They were saying they're gonna set up the race car. 2007 Scafie on the front row. He did a pretty damn good lap, I think. I watched the 07 shootout recently. Lowndes just didn't quite do it, and that's why they put Whincup in the car the next year, because he was better. In 2009 they put Lowndes in the car, so I guess it was like whoever's doing the fastest laps, they put him in. But 97? I think 97 and 98, I think. '97, '98. Scaife got pole. Hang on. Bathurst 1000 pole position winners. Most pole positions. No, this isn't helping. Not provisional pole. No, we want recent pole winners. Yeah, I know all of those ones. Muscle Car Magazine list of pole positions. I guess it's gonna have to be this one. All right. We'll see if it's. Oh, it's just pictures. I mean, it's cool, but all right. We'll look at this. I mean, up and down the grid racing was good because the skill required wasn't as good. Okay, I think you could relax during the race and be 3 seconds off the pace. Yeah, I mean, you still miss out on the win, and might cost you the race. Yeah, exactly. So, near half a second, and you're cooked. Yeah. Yeah, so you could push too hard and get nowhere, or you could just cruise around behind them. Sometimes if you don't have the pace to get past them, just cruise around, save the tyres, save the fuel, and then go ham at the end. I got this thing with the pole winners. And how far back are we going? I reckon, because I know Scafie put it on pole in 97. So here we go. Yeah, here we go. So Scaife in 98. We don't care about the 2-litre cars. Scafie in 97, I remember that. Cito in 96. Lowndes in 95, yeah, because he was really good. I thought they were on pole in 96 as well. No, it's 95. Interesting. I know they were on pole at Sandown and Bathurst. Lowndes and Murph. But they crashed out of both of them. Cito in 94. Larry Perkins, 93. Dick Johnson, 92. Scafie, 91. And well, I don't know how to pronounce that. Hang on, I'm going to show this. Wait, honestly, there's drivers at the back of the grid now that there's drivers at the back of the grid now that could be good drivers in the early 2000s. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think you watch races from 20 years ago, like we've watched 2006 and going, how are these guys getting in these crashes? Like, it's a lot more controlled. Like the drivers really know what they're doing to get into the main game. And it's probably because they introduced Super 2 that you kind of get rid of the crap drivers because they're just crashing and costing everyone money. But so I think they've actually gone through that, and then you've got a lot of experienced drivers, and you've got so yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I'll show you this thing. So you got Klaus Nedwees, I guess, in 1990 on pole in the Alan Moffat ANZ Sierra. Brocky, 1989 in his Sierra. DJ, 88. Oh, hang on. Perkins and Denny Hume. Where's Brock? 88. Where is he? Nowhere. Oh, he's driving the Beamer, right? Where is it? 88. Brocky in the Beamer. Is that it behind there? No, it's Madeki and someone. Where is he? Way down the back. Oh, wait, is that him there? Yeah, that's got to be Brocky. That's the Mobile 1 Beamer. Oh, boy. That was a mistake. That was driving being the BMW factory team. 1987, Klaus Ludwig in the Cheetahs R Us. Texaco Sierra. Gary Scott, 1986. Not one I've heard of. Tom Walkinshaw, I know about that one in 85, yeah. George Fury is the one I was thinking of in the Nissan. Now, was that that's a Skyline. That's a Bluebird. The Bluebird looks so good. Look at that aero on that thing. It's insane. Right, and then Peter Brock. How did Brocky not put it on pole in 8? Oh, because it was turbo. The turbo cars were hooked. All right. Was that a 216 the next year? 3 seconds faster. A 213. 218 by Walkinshaw. 217 Gary Scott. 216 Klaus Ludwig. So no one had beaten a 213 for... Oh, wait. Klaus Nedwees. Oh, hang on. 213.85. Alan Grice, 1982. VHSS. 217. 236 for Kevin Bartlett in the wet, possibly, 1981. Kevin Bartlett, 1980, the Camaro. The 9 Sports Camaro. Brocky did a 220 in the Tirana, 1979. 1978, 220. Okay. Slightly slower the next year. Is that 2 different kinds of... yeah, it's the same kind of Tirana. Brocky in the number 25 with his brother, Phil Brock, 1977 put it on pole. 1976. How come Moff didn't put it on pole? 76. Alan Moffat put it on pole. 75. Bondi put it on pole in the only HDT car. Well, I think that they still run a couple cars, but Brocky wasn't there. So Bondi on pole. Was that Moff in that one? Yeah. Brocky on pole. John Goss on pole. They had John Goss on last year, I think. They were interviewing him. I think that was pretty cool. Alan Moffat, car number 1, GDHO Phase 3, 1972. Alan Moffat, number 65. Some of these numbers are what? Is that XW? That was XW as well. And Phase 2 in 1970. Moff has a few freaking poles. Moff was good. Pete Gagan's got a couple. 1967 Falcon XR GT. Is that the one that Bruce McPhee and the HK Monaro? That's the one that they just sort of looked kind of the same. Oh no, the front. Hang on, the front. It's slightly different with the headlights, and then it's got like a little cross piece that drops through the middle. All right. Yeah, so 1967, the first genuine proper pole position, Pete Gagan. But I reckon Alan Moffat's probably got more of them. Pete Gagan, another one, Moff. Wait, 3 years in a row, 70, 71, 72, Alan Moffat. Goss, Peter Brock, Bondi, Moff again. That is 4th pole. Brock, what's that? 2nd pole. 3rd pole. 4th pole. Then Bartlett got a couple. 5th pole for Brocky. I think that was the last time he got pole, right? Oh no, 89. 6-time pole winner. So Brocky's got the stats. He just doesn't quite have it nailed all the time. So Scafey's got a few though. So 1, hang on. Then he had that's his 2nd one, I guess. So 97. No chance before. So 91, 97, 98. So 3 for Scafey. 4 for Scafey. 5 for Scafey, and that was the end of it. Alright. So Brocky got a few. Alright. Super 2 has been around since the early 2000s, though, isn't it? Yeah, so Super 2 was its first Super 2 round was in 2000. Yeah, so I think Super 2 has helped blood drivers for the main game a lot. Where you've got basically a junior category where people can drive all B8 supercars and get good, and then they come into the main game. And I think that's good that the best driver in Super 2 gets to go into the main game, except it doesn't really work like that. The best driver in Super 2 doesn't always make it into the main game immediately. Sometimes it takes a while. I think it took LeBrock a while, but I'm thinking 2015, who won? Oh, Waters got in straight away. 2016, LeBrock almost won the championship. And didn't get in for 2017. And then in 2017, he did eventually get the deal to go into Techno. But sometimes I think too many. Sometimes the driver it's time to move on. So, like we saw with Frosty, it's time to move on. Maybe it's the same case with Reynolds, but it's hard to tell. Reynolds is still close, but he's having a pretty crappy year. So you do wonder, like, if he was really good and he wouldn't be having this issue. But last year he was doing a really good job. So like some of these older drivers are really struggling on the new tire, and I think they're struggling on the super soft as well. But I'm not sure what rounds they might have run the super soft last year. So, but yeah, some of these older drivers definitely struggle to turn the tire on. The guys who were really good in previous years just struggling. Yeah. What else have I got? Oh, I got all of these shootouts. Oh, hang on. Alright, I got a PowerPoint presentation I've got going on here. I'll show that. Alright, so this only goes up until 2021 here, but this is who attended the most top 10 shootouts. So, or who competed in the most top 10 shootouts. So Lowndes did one. Alright, because from 2010 onwards, so you got Lowndes and Whincup. Lowndes beat Whincup in 2010. Lowndes, Whincup's way down in 2011, probably because of the order in which they went in. So, because it was a wet one, I think. Then you got Whincup Smash Lowndes in 2013, and Smash Lowndes 2013, and Whincup was not in 2014 because he crashed. 2015, Lowndes was not in it at all. 2016 wasn't in it at all. And didn't come back until 2018, where that was a big recovery weekend, and then boom, that's the end of it, no more. But he was in like every year apart from 08, where they put Whincup in the car. It was almost always Lowndes. They like put Lowndes in. Lowndes is your guy. Scaife, I don't have Scaife highlighted. That's annoying. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that was the end of it. So Lowndes was in there a lot of times. So was Tander. So Tander and Lowndes definitely turned it on at Bathurst. SVG in the shootout quite a number of times. 09, 11, 12, 13, pole in 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And I think he was in it in 22 and 23 as well. Yes, he was. A few guys who did actually make their shootout debut. What about Davis Crowley? Every year except for 22 for some reason. Was Davison in 22? He was. Davison did get in. So, yeah, I'm running out of puff, I think. Lowndes at Bathurst is a cheat code, that's why. Yeah, Lowndes is just good. Lowndes goes to Bathurst and he just turns it on. Lowndes is, yeah, he's definitely really good to have at Bathurst. Just whoever he's with, Lowndes just knows exactly what to do and he just gets it done. Not seeing him making any big mistakes yet. So yeah, he's doing well still. At the age of 53? Craig Lowndes. You know what I want, Google. 51. Lowndes is 51. So yeah, the age of 51, he's just smashing it. So they should get a good top 10 this year. I think so. I think Zach Bates he might have a chance to put in the shootout. And as long as no one does anything stupid, then they should be on for a good result. That's for sure. Like Cooper Murray did a really good job, and he was running 5th, and they gave a penalty because he was speeding under full course yellow. You don't think the shootout? Why not? He got in the shootout at QR. You think Waters is going to get in the shootout? Yeah, we'll see, I suppose. Waters should be good. Hang on. What are my numbers for Waters? Where's Waters? 2017, 18, 19, 20 got pole, 21, 22 got pole, 23. Waters in the shootout last year? 2024 Bathurst top 10 shootout. Yeah, Waters was on the front row. I don't know why, I've just forgotten what happened last year. Yeah, Waters is good at Bathurst, alright. What else? Who else was in there? Andre got in. That was Andre's first top 10 shootout. And then what did he do? He fell off or something. Got 10-second gap. Richie did a good one. Better than Matt Payne. Richie turns it on at Bathurst. Anton will probably make the shootout. It depends on the weather, doesn't it? It always depends on the weather. Cooper Murray made the Darwin shootout last year. Wasn't in the shootout for Bathurst, and he's faster than Bates. Cooper Murray faster than Zach Bates. How do you know Cooper Murray's faster than Zach Bates? I suppose, like, how many times does Bates get pole in Super 2? I would not bother counting this year. 2024 Super 2. Because he was on pole quite often. So, yeah, you got a couple. 24, 23. Probably Ryan Wood. Cooper Murray got one. The start of the year. And that was only because I think, Ryan Wood was right up there. 22? Was Cooper Murray in 22? No. No Cooper Murray in 22. So 23 he was in. You still reckon... No, Zach Bates didn't get poles in 23, 24. Well, he got a couple. Was that 1? 2. And Cooper got 2 as well. I don't think Zach Bates has had a pole at all in 24, 25. Yeah, nowhere. We watched him in that exact same wild card. It's not the same. Yeah, but Cooper Murray made the Darwin shootout. Zach Bates made the Queensland shootout. So, and they both qualified 5th. So, don't think Super 2 speed translates to main games with cars are opposites. Bates in a Triple 8 car at QR stunk it up in Super 2. And he's competitive in the main game. Yeah. Cooper Murray made the Darwin shootout last year and wasn't in the shootout for Bathurst, and he's faster than Bates. So you're saying Cooper Murray is faster than Zach Bates? And I'm still not understanding why. They're maybe even at the moment, I'd say. They've both pretty much just achieved. I mean, so we say Super 2 can't be a measuring stick for how good they are. So all we've got is the wild cards at Darwin and 5th at Sandown. Fifth at Sandown. Who did 5th at Sandown? Cooper Murray, 5th at Sandown. Hang on. 2025 Supercars. No, hang on. I'm putting the wrong thing in. 24. Cooper Murray. 5th at Sandown. I forgot about that. They didn't qualify up that high though, did they? They didn't qualify well at Sandown last year. Hang on, I actually have this exact information. 2024 driver ups and downs. Okay. All the way down to find Cooper Murray. Oh, hang on, no. Fuck. No, I don't have it. Lance, yeah. I thought they were at the back. Yeah, Waters behind him. They were near the back. Lowndes started the race because of the stupid co-driver rule. But they finessed, named Lowndes as the main driver. Yeah. I thought they just got Lowndes to start because he was the best driver. So they only did one driver change. Right. Yeah, the rules should just be wide open. It just should just be do what you want. Good luck. That's what the rule should be. It shouldn't be you have to do this many stops, you have to use this much fuel. It should just be go ham. Well, it is now. There's no co-driver rule. Yeah, they still have minimum laps and maximum laps though. They adjusted it, so there's still that, and I think it should just be wide open. Instead of having to worry about stuff like that, they should just have. If Zach Bates is faster than Lowndes, keep him in the car all day until he doesn't want to be there. That's because the main driver will do the whole race. No main driver is going to last the whole race. They will collapse. They will. So that's not going to happen. It wouldn't be an injury. It's not going to happen. I mean, they did do the 250Ks at Gold Coast, 250 at Adelaide. So the 500 first. Yeah, so just do the whole of the bend, and everybody, and just do like that. The 500 would be like one driver the whole time. But they should just do that. Didn't they have a rule about the co-drivers for some of them? Like back in the day, they'd have like Alan Grice and what's his face, and they'd pull a lead, put the co-driver in for the lunchtime stint, and then jump back in and win. First pit stop, they'll turf the driver out. No, I don't think so. I think they should just lay it wide open and just see what happens. And so there might be a driver who goes, "No, I'm all right. I can do it." Minimum laps. That's like participation trophies. Trying to see the other drivers. Yeah. Brody Kostecki was going to be in like the whole race at Bathurst, and Hazelwood's going to be in for the lunchtime stint. What I would love to see is co-drivers mandatory start. That's what I'd be okay with that. That'd be fine, rather than main driver starts. No co-driver is faster than the main driver. Some of them were. Last year, I swear. Hang on, we'll find it. Was it? Hang on. Speed Cafe, Sandown, fastest co-driver. I'm going to show it. Speed Cafe did an article, right? Scott Pye, Jamie Whincup, and David Russell climbed the podium. Were they really the best performing co-drivers? So we got that, which is average lap times, which isn't really fair. But the delta. So Cooper Murray faster than Lowndes by 6/10. Brad Vaughan faster than Matt Charter. Big surprise there. Aaron Cameron a little bit faster than Aaron Love. Tony D'Alberto a tiny bit faster than Anton De Pasquale. And then from that point onwards, Fabian slower, a tiny bit slower than Ryan Wood. Hazelwood a tiny bit slower than Brody. Ojeda a bit slower than LeBrock. But this is like within a tenth. Declan Fraser to Andre, Everingham to Randall. And then we start seeing some slightly bigger gaps. Moff a couple tenths slower than Waters. McLeod slower than Slade. Tander slower than Payne. Boys slower than Jones by a couple tenths. Whincup a couple tenths slower than Feeney. Scott Pye a couple tenths slower than Will Brown. Caruso a couple tenths slower than Frosty. Russell was a couple slower than Golding. Luff a couple slower than Reynolds. J. Robotham a couple slower than Fullwood. Kai Allen 3/10 slower than Davo. Fiore 3.5 slower than Jackson. 4/10 between Cameron Crick slower than Cameron Hill. Perko slower by 4.5 than JC. And Dylan O'Keefe 5.5 slower than Percat. Lee Holdsworth 7.5 slower than Chaz. So there were some co-drivers that were actually faster. It's Anton's co-driver, Aaron Love's co-driver, Cooper Murray faster than Lowndes, Brad Vaughan faster than. So in terms of like front-running machinery, I think we're just talking like D'Alberto and Cooper Murray. I think that's probably it. They're all tyre saving the whole race, and like half of them were in traffic the whole time, and they were on the super soft. Cooper Murray is the main driver. Stop it. All right. Yeah, all right. Half of them were in traffic. Yeah, well, that's it. It's like difficult to tell. What did they say in this article? They said something about tyre saving, traffic. Say anything about it? Thought it said something about it. Ugh. Yeah, they've written that the clever rule work around by Triple Eight with Craig Lowndes and Cooper Murray. Oh, and the driver weight rules, that was stupid. Most of the starter co-drivers do much return to their primaries. Yeah, it doesn't really talk about tyre saving and things like that. The best 50% of their laps, that's where they've got the average lap time from. The best 50% of their laps. So not like all of the laps. So there would have been times where they weren't tyre saving because everybody would have probably had to do a bit of tyre saving. Aaron Cameron, Aaron Love is the only one I'd pay. Everyone else, it's either like damage later or they're tyre saving. Aaron Love in that Blanchard car stinks. Aaron Love in Super 2 is a demon, but in the main game, Jesus Christ, he sucks. Yeah, but that Super 2 car is a good car. In the main game. Yeah. I think it's not a fair comparison. That Super 2 car is a good car because it's a Tickford built Mustang. But in Gen 3 machinery, he's driving BRT built Mustang, where it's like, I know you're gonna say that all of them are Aaron Cameron in the same shitbox. Yeah, getting top 10s. Well, he is now. Aaron Love could have done that, except he was under a lot of pressure instead. So in that high pressure environment, for whatever reason, whatever the situation was, he had to leave. Aaron Cameron is driving the same shitbox in August and July 2025. Aaron Love drove it in February 2025. It's not the same. The team was struggling in general in those years. It's not the same because JC's starting to do better as well. Never proved himself enough in Super 2 to be in the main game. He was winning races, getting pole positions not last year. Hang on. 23 Super 2 Aaron Love. Oops, that's Super 3. None in. Yeah, he just got a couple wins. I think it was just one. Why do I think he got 2 wins? He's got 1. Alright. Didn't put a season together like Ryan Wood. Didn't do enough for me either. Like, being fast isn't the only thing Walkinshaw could sacrifice because Perkout was dog shit. It's not. Perkout went to MSR last year and did a great job. I think if you can be fast enough and you can do a good enough race without crashing, and you can do that relatively consistently, that's good enough. And so if you've proven that you've got the skill set, then you can do it. Otherwise, it's Super 2. There'd be bad luck. Sometimes you just don't get the car right on the day. Sacrifice letting Wood learn in the main game instead of another expensive Super 2 season. Well, Wood only did the one Super 2 season. I don't think Perkout wasn't doing that bad a job, but they needed to put someone else in because they were struggling. He did 2? Ryan Wood only did 1 Super 2 season. He did 2023. He was a rookie. That last year in the Ford. Perkout did 2 years at Walkinshaw, 22 and 23. Is there a delay? I think there might be like a 17-second delay again. Yeah, there might be my internet playing up or something. Yeah, we got a delay. Do we? Yeah, I think Percat wasn't that bad. No delay. All right. I'm getting pretty tired though. It's been a weekend of racing. It is 2023. Okay. Yeah. I don't think Percat was that bad, but you know, he was driving a 2023 Mustang. So, all right. So, because 2022 wasn't great. He was down the back like all the time. The car broke down immediately at Newcastle. We know that. He came 23rd. Not sure what was going on there, but he was just kind of slow. He was all right. He was in the mid pack there at Melbourne, but like Bryce Fullwood didn't do that well in that one. I mean, Percat came through as a driver who was really good at BJR, compared to Fullwood, who came through as a rookie Super 2 champion. Did an okay job. Percat often struggled in that car. Like, what we got? That's Wanneroo came 13th. That's not too bad. I think. And then you got Tassie had 2 top 10s there. Just pretty struggling like a lot all the time compared to Moster. And what I used to say, and what else we got? Hang on. 13th Townsville. I remember that. The bend, the Fords were just good at the bend. Sandown and Bathurst, the cars just had no fucking pace. 12th at Gold Coast. He did have like decent pace, I think, at Adelaide. He was qualifying pretty decently. But for some reason, he just kept getting involved in Biffo. He had that crash with LeBrock. That didn't help him. Because so was that. I did a video, I think, at the end of that year, and it might have been Percat, might have been. I think in 2023, I was just excited that he was going to go on MSR. I was like, yes, someone can actually do a better job than LeBrock. So I say that the wall control is letting him down a bit. We go to 22. He was qualifying. Where was it? Down the. Hang on, where are we? 22. Percat. 15th. Qualifying down the back and dragging it up pretty frequently and struggling like really often. It was just 14th, 15th, like all year. Careful top 10s there. And it was just struggle street like all the time. But it was worse in 23. But it was like that in 21 for Fullwood. And you say, oh, you signed Percat because he was so good at BJR. But you can't have 2 different drivers having the same sort of deal. Sometimes, and they talked about it, sometimes drivers will go to a team and it's just not quite clicking for some reason. It's not working very well. You know, it's like Daniel Ricciardo to McLaren. They go there, highly rated, and the guy struggles with the team, doesn't quite click with the car, and his teammates smashing him. And it's just not quite working for him. Like there's Fullwood, just like where we got some top 15s, quite a few of them there, and then just struggling for several races. Goes to the band, top 10 or top 15, a bunch of top 15s. Pretty solid run there in the middle point there. That would have got him further up in the championship. And then just ups and downs all the time. I remember Townsville. I can't remember which one it was. He qualified like 5th or something, like really high up. And then he was racing up there near Mostert. And I think after the pit stop, he wasn't. Yeah, he was doing quite well. And then jumps to 14th in the championship because of the 5th place at Bathurst. I think in 2020, forward. And it was pretty much the same. Like the the Chaz years have kind of not helped and I had so much doubt about Walkinshaw's second car until Ryan Wood came in and was qualifying well, and it's like, yeah, well, Percat would qualify well sometimes, and Fullwood would qualify well sometimes, but so I'd be like, okay, Ryan Wood almost got in the shootout. Sure, that's probably happened. Like Bryce would qualify well, Nick would qualify well, but I wasn't seeing it happen that often. And then I watched the Rise of the Rookie series, and that actually showed me how good Ryan Wood was. So I sort of went, okay, I'm going to believe you now. Ryan Wood is actually hitting a bit, and we're seeing that this year. He's just broken through. First pole, first podium, first win. He's doing a really good job. But I don't say Percat was a shit driver. I say Percat was just struggling. He wasn't clicking with the car. Like Tim Slade was struggling at Premier. You wouldn't say Premier was a shit driver. He was just not working with that team. When he was with Blanchard's, he was really good. Like, we go 22. Blanchard's, like, they should have been top 10 at the championship, but they just didn't have a great team. He was doing, like, Slady was doing a really good job all year long. 21. And you wouldn't say that, oh, they get old, they hit a cliff and then they just start being shit. There's 21. Not a great start to the year, struggling, and then they'll start picking up some top 10s, a bunch of good results. And you say, oh, it's because of the Tickford Alliance. The Tickford Alliance is giving them setup information. And you go to, they start running their own show and they're struggling. Except in 23, it was with Hazelwood, not Slade. But Slade was at times the best driver for Premier. He was just struggling for whatever reason. I think Premier as a team struggle to consistently deliver, and Golding's just one of those drivers who's just come in a bit more aggressive, a bit more naturally talented, perhaps. And they happened to put the right engineer with that driver to get those results. Slady was a bit more of the sacrificial lamb. A bit like, and so I think last year they got Andrew Gilliam near the back end of the year. But I think by that, was it Tassie? Andrew Gilliam? And Slady got a couple of top 10s there. How did Golding do? Golding struggled. But they got Romy. I can't remember exactly when they got her. I think did they have Romy then? They must have done, because they had Romy at Darwin, so they had Romy the rest of the year and until this year when she's had a baby, and so now the engineering philosophy's gone out the window. Yeah, don't throw the engineering philosophy out with the bathwater. And just struggling towards the end there for Slady. Gold Coast not great, but I think Golding. Oh, they had really bad pit stops. That was one of them for Golding. I do have my things. Where are they? Slady. Qualifying down the back did not help. So there might have been a bit more biffo. Bent panels. Getting shoved around. spun by Frosty and still ended up 14th, but that was like the crazy Sunday anyway. And the Premier cars kind of had no pace on at Adelaide. Where's Jimmy? Yeah, Jimmy had a decent one. What have you said? Forward is also mid. 15th in a walk control car when your teammate is fighting for wins. It's Chaz Mostert, dude. I think forward is also mid. Yeah, forward's not the best. Then Supercars talk saying like triple eight, like Triple Eight didn't need to pay the money they did for Feeney and Brown because other drivers could do the same. And I highly disagree. Yeah, Feeney and Brown are good drivers. For some reason, Brown, with Eggleston, he struggled in Super 2. Jazz Monster throws up stinkers constantly now. Yeah, well, this weekend at QR, he was racking up top 10s. Woody's doing a really good job. But Woody, I think, is one of those talents coming through. Next year, Ryan will finish ahead of him in the championship. Maybe. I guess we'll see. We might finish ahead of him by the end of the year. All right. He's not beating him this year though. On organic points, yeah, not with the shuffling and stuff. Yeah. I think this has been Woody's best round. Better shootout. Hang on, I'll find 2025 driver ups and downs. I think we thought that Cameron Hill would be. I think that it's the tyres this year. I think it's the older drivers are struggling on the softs, and the younger drivers just don't notice the difference quite as much, maybe. Or they just go, I'm so used to so much change year on year that it doesn't really affect me too much. Whereas the older drivers, they go, they get used to things. He's on the edge of town first round at Bathurst. Yeah. You don't like Golding? Alright, Golding, I wouldn't say Golding is like a freakishly good talent. 400 point gap between Woody and Mostert. Wood has the better co-driver. Ojeda. Speed Cafe, I think Speed Cafe screwed up. They said that Coulthard was going to be with Woody, and I'm like, no, he's going to be with Chaz. You think Ojeda is we'll see. I suppose we'll see. I don't know. Ojeda has been doing a really good job as a co-driver. Chaz is over the hill. I don't know. Hang on. Well, I'm going to go look through this year's results. We'll look at it. Ojeda is freakishly fast. Ojeda's a talented guy. Alright, so this is this year. Mostert. Ignore the QR stuff. I haven't got around to putting everything in yet. Second at the round at Townsville. I think what happened with Woody? 8th at Townsville. 14th at Darwin. 12th at Darwin. Chaz was 4th at Perth. Woody was 16th at Perth because of the 2 DNFs. Woody was 8th at Tassie. Chaz had a shocker at Tassie. 18th versus 8th. 9th for Woody at Taupo. 8th at Albert Park. Chaz 2nd at Taupo. 12th at Albert Park. Nah, Chaz has got him. It's just this weekend he looked pretty good. But in terms of points, it's pretty damn close. He got a couple podiums. Yeah, I don't think it's happening that quick. So yeah, there we go. I'm getting pretty tired, dude. So I might call it an end. We're 3.5 hours in, so I think I think we've done a good innings tonight. We watched a bit of 99. Yeah, you have a good night too. Thanks for dropping in again. I'll see you same time next week. All right, see you, dude.